The Cyberpunk DLC announcement is finally here, and there's good news and there's bad news for folks who are really hoping for this game to continue, expand, and add to itself. I'm going to put all of the good and helpful information right here at the beginning of the video. These videos are longer because they're live streams. Be sure to hit subscribe and the bell button so you don't miss my live streams if you want to be here for the discussions. Let me give it to you in a very quick breakdown we call an update. This is a Reforge update. Cyberpunk 2077 DLC announcement brings both good and bad news for fans. I'm going to break it all down for you. There is some bad news saved for the end of the video, but there is some good info for those who have been wanting to see Cyberpunk 2077 continue to both improve itself and add to the content loop. If you like these videos, hit subscribe and the bell button, and always be sure to check out Reforge Gaming, where I stream live. According to GameInformer.com, CD Projekt Red has unveiled the first Cyberpunk 2077 story expansion called Phantom Liberty, and it will be released next year, 2023. So what exactly did they show? CD Projekt Red revealed Phantom Liberty shortly after, and it looks great, shortly after some of their info in their live stream. Not only does it add more to V's story, with them seemingly becoming a Secret Service-like agent for the new United States of America, but it also sees Keanu Reeves, Johnny Silverhand, returning to the fold. So the trailer summary, it's very brief. It's rolling up in the corner, and I'm being told by my live stream the doorbell song's playing. Enjoy that. So the trailer is actually very short, but it packs a punch. There's the narrator, who just might be the president of the new United States of America, as well as Johnny Silverhand. There also appears to be some new locations and weapons at play in the trailer, but that remains unconfirmed for now. So very limited details coming out of CD Projekt Red about this DLC. During the stream, they said it is a new kind of style of plot for the team in terms of Phantom Liberty's narrative, and it will feature a new cast of characters joining V, of course. As for where it takes place, the team did not specify, but it did say it will primarily unfold in one district of Night City. There is also the Cyberpunk 2077 1.6 update that went live while I'm recording this on September the 7th, and that has good details in it as well, including a complete overhaul of the police system and vehicle-to-vehicle combat mechanics. I do know that the police system has been one of the primary complaints since the beginning. They're also talking about adding more to the content loop as well as transmog. There will be a new gameplay loop for melee combat and a bunch of new actions in the perk tree as well. Plus, Nibbles the cat will soon be available to add in photo mode. I know that was probably the most important update of all. And other aspects of the update include a transmog system, playable arcade cabinets, and a jacket and weapon inspired by the Cyberpunk show Edge Runners, which is the anime series that was also a part of their live stream. Last gen is being left behind. This is the bad news. This is where people are probably going to start to say, what on earth are you doing? Why did you wait this long? This is what they had to say. The team said update 1.6 will be the last major update for old gen consoles, and then moving forward, all updates will be current gen consoles and PC. However, the team will continue to monitor old gen versions of the game and perform maintenance to keep them running smoothly as needed. This, to me, is insult to injury after the launch of the game being so poor on old gen. Arguably, the old gen consoles holding this game back and being the cause of many of the problems. Letting it go this late in its life cycle seems too little too late. Doesn't seem like it's going to do much for the game, but does that mean that the future of this game is going to extend beyond this DLC, beyond the Phantom Liberty DLC? What does it mean with respect to the UE5 comments? The CEO saying this would be the last thing done in the Red Engine. The Cyberpunk 2077 expansion was the last project in the Red Engine, and did that mean I thought maybe they'll bring the game to UE5? The official Cyberpunk YouTube channel commented on one of their own videos and said, "Glad to hear we sparked your interest. As far as the future, Phantom Liberty is the only planned expansion for Cyberpunk 2077. So they're officially going on record, not just saying, hey, we're leaving next gen behind, but this is the last expansion for Cyberpunk 2077. Let me know what you think in the comments below. As always, head over to Reforge Gaming, where I stream live, and I'll see you in the next video. What do we make of this, chat? This trailer, wrong scene. This trailer is just super short, and the announcement comes with, I'm just sort of confused by a handful of things. I think the leaving behind last gen is the single most confusing part of it. Why even bother this late in the game to do that? Is this DLC that important? Is this DLC that substantive? Is it that demanding that you're just now going to leave behind the old gen? The old gen, which is seemingly one of the biggest problems with the game since its launch. It was the reason that the thing got removed from the Sony store. It was the reason for much of the complaint and much of the frustration from people. But the YouTube channel seeming to confirm this is it. This is the last expansion. Imagine playing this game on old gen all the way up to this point on a PS4 or a PS4 Pro, and you find out that the final expansion, the thing they're going to end the game with, they're like, yeah, it's not going to be on old gen. Do not count on this update. If they wanted to fix the game, they would have done it already. In my opinion, they got 10% of the devs working on the game and the rest are on different games. Games. Hindsight's a wonderful thing, but they should have never released it for last gen. Right, it's just, at this point, it just seems too little too late. Who cares if you're removing it from last gen at this point? This expansion, this DLC better be bonkers. It better be absolutely bonkers crazy good to do this at this stage of the life cycle of the game. You're basically doing EOL on the game. You're end-of-lifing it. No more expansions, no more major anything. Sounds like Rise of Iron just kicks old gen customers in the butt. Now, the Rise of Iron was different because they basically came out and said that less than 10% of the community was on old gen. So at that point, they were very cognizant of how many people it was going to be affecting. Guys, do me a favor if you're just tuning in for the morning. The Cyberpunk DLC news is both good and bad. Make sure and smash the like button if you enjoy my coverage of all the different games that we cover here. Hit subscribe if you're not a subscriber yet. I'd love to hear from you in the chat. It's been 2 years. It's time to leave it behind. But, okay, so I'm not arguing that they shouldn't leave it behind. Right? I'm not arguing that they should not leave it behind. I'm saying, imagine being one of the people that sort of waits for this game to finally deliver the promised expansion and being like, you can't play it. Right? Shirt. Oh, this one's not from 80s Tees. This is just one that my daughter gave me. No talkie before coffee. Great commercial for Reforge Roast. Get yourself some of our coffee. If you enjoy our coverage here at Reforge Gaming, you can support us with a membership or coffee. We've discovered something about gifted memberships. We have a theory. What's good, Feed? I see you in the chat. Oh, that's right on the money. We've discovered that gifted memberships seem to work in the first stream no problem, and that redirect is potentially the cause of the problem. So if you want to gift memberships, you're going to have to do it during our first streams every day. Second and third streams don't seem to allow gifted members, and we think it might be because of redirect, like it glitches out the chat or something. Yo, Reaper hitting a 4-month milestone. Welcome back in. Mike Quad says, I'm going to sound entitled, but this new DLC needs to just be absolutely bonkers, insanely perfect, and it needs to be free. CD Projekt Red needs to get some goodwill from the community back. Their reputation's kind of in the trash right now. It sucks for last-gen only owners, says Scotty B. I feel bad for them. What's good, Zubair? Good morning to everybody, guys. Go through your morning ritual. Come in and switch over to live chat. You don't want to be on top chat. You won't see what everybody's saying. And smash that like button. I am sorry for another late start. I recorded a first look this morning. I think you guys are going to absolutely love it. It's that Disney Valley princess game. Oh my gosh. I had a lot of fun with that first look. It's really, really good. I should not be trying to record videos in the morning. Last night got a little weird for us. We were on a walk, and this guy's been doing this project on his house for forever. They dug out underneath the house. We weren't sure what they were doing like a year ago. I was like, maybe they're actually going to lift the house and move it. They added a basement. I remember he once said, he waved at us, and I was like, what are y'all doing? He's like, oh, we're adding a basement. And now it's been like a year. They're still working on it. and we were walking by, and he was out, and he was like, do you guys want to see what we've done? I was like, oh my gosh, yes, we've been theorizing, we've been so interested. So he gave us, like, I'm not kidding you, like a 20 to 30 minute tour, a pool with a motorized cover and fountains and lights and heated floors in their garage, guest room, shower house they're building. Then he took us in his house, looked at the basement, looked at all the rooms. It was amazing. He was so nice. It was the craziest thing. It was super cool. It was so folksy, so hometown feeling, just this really amazing guy. And he's like, your kids can come over and swim anytime they want. No, not a doomsday prepper. We told him we thought that's what he was doing. He's like, no, we just want to make the house. He's like, I just wanted to renovate the entire house, including adding a basement. He does have a safe room with a really cool door, really thick door for the safe room. But that's why I'm late. I'm late because a guy gave me a tour of his house because we got back super late from our walk. Then I do soccer drills with the kids. Then I read Redwall to them and brush their teeth. And by the time that happened, I didn't have time to come down and record a video. Yo, MJ with lucky number 13. Lucky number 13. That's a lot of months. Thanks for that milestone. I'm genuinely confused by this move. They are not planning to support the franchise anymore. Yeah, they decided to drop last gen, not buying it. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. This doesn't make any sense at all. It doesn't make any sense at all. Why on earth would you wait this long to drop last gen, and you're doing it at the very end of the game's life cycle? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. It's like, the only reason it makes sense, I'm not trying to hype you guys up, right? No, he wasn't missing any fingers, Hilly. I'm not trying to hype you guys up. But the only thing I can conclude is that this expansion has got to be the actual 2.0 big-time turning event of the game that we've been waiting for, and they can't get it there with old gen. Now, keep in mind, I don't want to misrepresent what they said. 1.6, which is an update, Cyberpunk 2077, 1.6, went live like today. That's the last update old gen's gonna get. Now, I don't want to be hyper conspiracy theory here, but what if there's a .7, a 1.7, a 1.8, and a 1.9? That's 3 updates between now and the DLC, and the DLC lands with 2.0 to signify this is it. This is the Cyberpunk DLC we've been wanting to deliver. This is the 2.0 version of the game, and the next 3 updates, 1.7, 1.8, and 1.9, are going to be too substantive for old gen. I am not trying to hype you up. I am merely theorizing that if you're leaving behind old gen at this point, you've got to be doing something significant, because if not, why bother? Just do a couple more updates, kick out your DLC, and then be done with it. End the game. Just shut it down. If you link your Wizarding World account to Hogwarts Legacy, can you switch your house in-game? Say I got Ravenclaw on the website. Could I switch houses in-game? Chubby, I don't know if there's an official word on that. My guess would be they are not going to force you into your house from the website. You can even say that you don't want to accept the house from the website or something. You can do the sorting in-game if you want. It's supposedly in between mid-game and endings. They said they may do small updates for last gen to fix problems and stability, but yeah, no big updates. Yeah, they're just going to monitor stability. The DLC is free. As far as I know, yeah. I wish to replay this, but nope. Yeah, does any of this convincing you guys to come back to the game? That'd be cool. Basically a smaller, but what we expected Cyberpunk. What if they are waiting to see how many sales they do to decide if they want to continue or not? But this DLC doesn't cost any money. They're not charging people for this. Guys, try to give me 200 likes on the video. There's a lot of you here already. J Murph just hit a 4-month milestone. Welcome back in, J Murph. If it doesn't fix the gameplay loop or the gunplay, then I can't see the DLC being groundbreaking. I'll tell you what. The Cyberpunk DLC trailer, those guns looked sick. I was like, maybe the gunplay will be better. The gunplay was always such a huge turnoff for me. If you guys have ever tried out Cyberpunk gameplay, I'm telling you, that gunplay is just sloppy. It's one of the main reasons I just couldn't touch it. My theory is they just can't get anyone to agree to bug test old gen. That's not a bad theory, that you outsource a lot of your QA, and a lot of QA companies are like, we're not testing old gen anymore, man. It's not worth it. It's not. There's no money in it. Everybody's moving on. Crappy QA testers, LOL. The company's main issue is leadership. People love to blame the devs. Listen, the quality assurance played a part. Did you see Upper Echelon's video? I don't think you can lay everything at the foot of the quality assurance people for Cyberpunk, but they certainly played a role in the game being trash when it came out. You can't blame them, but they're on the dance floor. DLC for the game was confirmed free since its release, says Texas. Good to see you back, Boogeyman. Welcome back, man. Good to see you after yesterday. Liked the stream so much yesterday, thought I'd come back. That's my man right there. Guys, if you're wanting to gift membership, right? Let's keep this in mind next time Heartland comes up. Interest has been building. Yeah, I saw our little update did well. I know we gave it a little kick in the keister, but that video is doing well on its own. What was I getting ready to say? Oh, yeah, guys, if you want to gift memberships, we have a theory that it will only work in the first stream of the day. We think Redirect has been glitching it out. So if you're one of the people that has been holding out on gifting members, they work in the first stream. They worked yesterday. So get some of these names without joysticks to convert over. Thank you. It's been driving me crazy. No problem, Chubby. Cyberpunk ran good for me on Stadia. Really? The release was so rough. Plenty to blame to go around. That's right, Rob V. That's right. A 14.5 gig update on PC. I'll check it out, says Hilly. Oh, the Cyberpunk 2077 1.6 update is almost 15 gigs, Hilly? That's how big it is? There are 2 expansions going to be released, says Daniel. They said planned now. Once it releases, they will announce a second. Like to make it seem better, even though it's what they promised. It's all about how they've been seen. The Stadia version of the game was one of the best, says Paul. What the frick? Why? Why? Okay, so Daniel is saying they have another expansion planned. They said on their YouTube, glad to hear it sparked your interest. As far as the future, Phantom Liberty is the only planned expansion for Cyberpunk. Now, I do think it's interesting that they said it's the only planned expansion. They didn't say it's the only expansion. They said only planned expansion. Yeah, Hilly's updating the game right now in Steam, 14.64 gig. Yo, what's good, Atwood? Added transmog, cross-save, more guns, outfits, missions, and more bug fixes. I would love an expansion for Cyberpunk. The world is too huge to end it. Arvin says, think about it. If you got a very big game coming out, you put the CD in and you play it before release, and you'll see the game in its bad state. They release it anyways. Why? Well, I mean, I'm not here to debate why they release it, Arvin. That's a retreaded discussion that's really not worth having. I think it's time to let it go, says Corey. PS4 and Xbox One are nearly 10 years old and made with 12 to 13-year-old tech. They obviously need to drop last-gen versions. Corey, yeah, I need to be careful in how I talk about this. I'm not saying that they shouldn't leave behind old gen. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, what on earth are you doing that you need to do that? If you're going to do another couple of updates, a 1.7, a 1.8, and a 1.9, my theory is that they do that before Phantom Liberty comes out. Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty, it's not coming out until next year. It could be late next year. We don't know, all right? That's plenty of time to do a 1.7, a 1.8, and a 1.9. That means when that comes out, they could be Cyberpunk 2077 2.0. This is the game that we've wanted to deliver. This is the excellence that we've wanted to strive for. And we're ushering it in with Phantom Liberty, right? I've always said they need a 2.0 moment. That's what I've always said, okay? Now, that means that the 3 updates in the expansion are so substantive that they had to, of necessity, leave behind old gen. If this is the end of life of Cyberpunk, my question is, what's the point? Just be done with it. Get the update out, get the expansion out, make it work on all platforms, and be done with it. If they're removing old gen support with 1.6 is the last update that'll go out to old gen, then my thought is, no hype, what are y'all doing? You must be doing something pretty big. Guys, we only need a couple more likes for 200 likes. I think the DLC is free. Oh, you think the DLC is the free things that come with the updates? Wait, do you think they're going to charge people for this? Paul is saying they said free DLC, not free expansions. I got news for you, Paul. There ain't no frickin' way people are going to buy that as an excuse. There is no fricking way. No. People will be like, are you kidding me? The average gamer is not going to accept that as a slice. Oh, you meant the DLC was free as in the updates and the transmog. The expansions cost money. You think Phantom Liberty will be paid? Chad, do you think Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty, do you think it's going to cost money? Jiminy Christmas. That'll go over like a lead balloon. I think that goes over like a lead balloon. Who wants to be our first member of the day? Who wants to be our first coffee order of the day? I'm checking. None yet. My thoughts are it's going to be a long, hard uphill trek, but I think they're going to try out The Witcher 3 and Cyberpunk. I think that's the goal. Just like the Wild Hunt, the expansion will be paid, says Teddy. I mean, if someone's dumb enough to buy it, sure, says Patrick. You guys are saying 100% paid. The average gamer will accept it. They accept a lot of stupid. I don't agree with that. No. Yo, my man Alex jumping back in as a member, getting a new badge. Welcome home. Welcome home. 15 million PC players. I would say it's going to be $20, maybe $10. I could see them getting away with the $10. The 20 might ruffle some feathers, but I don't know. All right, I'll do you one better. Cyberpunk updates that are coming, the 1.7, the 1.8, and the 1.9. I believe there'll be 3 updates before Phantom Liberty, so that when Phantom Liberty arrives, they push out an update called 2.0. I believe that. That's my theory. I believe that 1.7, 1.8, and 1.9 will be so crazy good that people will want to spend the money for the update. I'll give you that. If they swing for the dadgum fences, if they really, really bring this game forward and fix it, not just fix it, but like really polish it up, I could 100% see people saying, yeah, I'm willing to spend 10 or 20 bucks on an expansion. It's a completely different game now because they'll be selling it to the player base. Listen, what does that communicate? What does that communicate to people that have walked away? Or what does that communicate to people that think the game is done? Well, man, they must be doing something over there. They did a 1.7, a 1.8, a 1.9. Now they're doing a 2.0 with the DLC, and the DLC's 20 bucks. They must be doing something great. And if the DLC delivers, then all the headlines will be, bold move by CD Projekt Red to charge money for a DLC, but it's worth it. It must be major then. However, I do not trust them anymore. They need to earn the trust back. CD Projekt Red won't charge for the expansion. A lot of people think that they're going to. I got Cyberpunk 2077 on PS4 as a B-Day gift when it released. The game was so busted it wouldn't load past the title screen. It's been sitting on the shelf ever since. If it's fixed, finally I might play it again. They dropped this also for the modders. Oh, they dropped a modding thing? Remod? What's that? Oh, I'm sorry, Red Mod? So is that a Red Engine modding kit? That's exactly why, says Daniel, because it isn't the end. They're going to do another expansion because they know the first one is going to be so good everyone will buy a second. Listen, Daniel, I don't know how often you've been here before, but I like what you're bringing. This is good. This is good theory crafting. So you think... I was saying this last night to Creature on the phone. I was like, there's no way this is the last expansion. If they're dropping last gen, they've got to have plans beyond this. They have to. You think they're going to do all this work and drop last gen to sell one expansion for 10 or 20 bucks? That seems so dumb. It's like... No, there's got to be something bigger beyond this choice. Master Ty hitting lucky number 13. Thanks for hitting that milestone. Enjoy the new green. You guys are getting the official Reforge Gaming joystick next to your name. It's green now because you've been a member for an entire year. It doesn't hit until the 13th month. In 2020 September, they said we'll have proper expansions, plural, and free DLC for Cyberpunk, plus free upgrades for next-gen consoles. Please don't worry. That's such a weird... Listen, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying that is such a weird distinction. We'll have proper expansions and free DLC. That's confusing as frick. Why wouldn't you say we'll have proper expansions and free updates for Cyberpunk, plus free upgrades for next-gen consoles? Use those terms, man. What the frick? We'll have proper expansions and free updates for Cyberpunk 2077. You can't calling these free updates with transmog and stuff DLC. Come on, man. You got to step onto the landscape of gamer colloquialisms and use them properly. This is like when frickin' Bungie was like, we have anti-cheat. Shut the frick up. No, you don't. We have free DLC. No, you don't. These are updates. This isn't free DLC. Dropping last gen's not indicative for me, says Eugene. Aren't most of their sales PC? Yeah, but that still indicates to me, Eugene, that they're going to be doing big things that they can't do on old gen, right? Maybe it's a different language thing. I mean, if it's getting lost in translation because their primary and first language is not English, come on, man. You've got to work with me here. If the DLC is paid, I ain't touching it. Listen, I'm gonna tell you something, Barrier. Do you see the title of my stream? Do you want to know why it's called Cyberpunk DLC? Because that's what everybody is searching for when they're searching for the Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty. It's by the way, their trailer is number 7 on trending on YouTube. It's number 7 on trending. That's free DLC in my opinion, all in 1.6. Concrete Cage Trap. You got 3 new gigs. Concrete Cage Trap, Desperate Measures, and Nasty Hangover. 6 new weapons and 5 new melee weapons. Call it an update, Paul. Call it an update. You gotta meet consumers where they are. I'm willing to bet all those PC bros that like the game on launch would happily buy an expansion. I'm not debating that. I think that you're correct. Rise of Iron was different because they explicitly came out and stated that less than 10% of the community was playing on old gen when they did the Rise of Iron thing. That was very different. It's paid. Eugene, that's the debate. Will the Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty expansion be paid? That's the big debate, and people are saying yes. According to Cyberpunk, in a tweet from September the 8th of 2020, they said that we'll have proper expansions and free DLC. The 1.6 that they just delivered today with transmog and stuff, in their mind, that's a free DLC because it's free missions, weapons, and features like transmog. So I don't disagree that that's not just a patch. I readily agree that when you add missions, weapons, and transmog, that's not just a patch. That's substantive content. Yo, Master Ty upgrades to tier 2. We only need like 23 more people to do that, and I'm going to launch new segments for tier 2 members and above. If you can afford to upgrade your membership, consider doing it. We only need like 22 more people to do that, and we will have 100 tier 2 members. For me, it depends on how good the content is and how well it runs, says Omar. I expected the technical issues after so many pushbacks and platform skews. My issue was the game itself was meh. Well, I agree with that. I think the game is mediocre, but that's a debate that's subjective to quality that's hard to have. People that have played this game since launch on PC love it. If you're just tuning in, the latest news about Cyberpunk DLC is that it will be the last DLC. According to the Cyberpunk YouTube channel, they commented and said, this is the last planned, or this is the only planned DLC for Cyberpunk 2077. Now, some people are saying, oh, well, the word planned means there's more coming after. They're also dropping old gen, so we're debating right now whether or not they have the right to charge for it's called Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty. Do they have the right to charge for that? 10 or 20 bucks. Now, my theory that I've been crafting together, and if you like my theory and my coverage, if you like the show, hit like and subscribe. It helps out the video, it helps me out, and it doesn't cost you anything to do that. Here's my theory. 1.6, so Cyberpunk 1.6 lands today. It's the last update for old gen. My theory is that 1.7, 1.8, and 1.9 are going to be substantive. They're going to be so substantive that they can't hit the old gen consoles. And that's going to be the runway for Cyberpunk 2.0. And I think Cyberpunk 2.0 hits at the same time as Phantom Liberty, and it's like the soft reset, hinge turn, big moment for the franchise. And I do think selling it for $10 or $20, I think it's the right choice. I do. I know people are probably going to disagree with me. I think it's the right choice because you're sending a loud and clear message. This is worth your money. This is not some free update with weapons and missions. They are literally giving missions and weapons away. Just today, they gave you 3 missions, they gave you 6 new guns, and 5 new melee weapons and transmog for $0. So if they charge money for Phantom Liberty, then they're telling you this ain't an update. This isn't a couple of missions and a couple of weapons and transmog. This is worth your money. I actually think it's the right choice, which is something I never think I would have found myself saying about Cyberpunk. That's my position on this issue. This has been a good discussion. I'm convincing myself here that this game might have a big moment next year. It might. Listen, every time I've come back to this game, I have been very critical. I have been very harsh. I think it is a mediocre game. I think the updates have been good for the fans that like it. I think the next gen update barely moved the needle for me, if at all. But I think that this thing's got a shot of having a pretty big moment next year. If you're enjoying my coverage, man, you might notice I'm safe for work. You can subscribe in confidence. A lot of people throw me on in the background like a podcast or a radio show. We've been doing coverage all week of all the big things going on. TJ Rage with a $2 tip says, the John Wick Matrix Man said one more time. Thank you for the $2 super chat. And a $10 super chat from Marisic. This new update goes with the anime that comes out next week. Oh my gosh, look how fast the gifted members are going. Cat gifted 5 members and they're already gone. I wonder if they fixed it. That's the fastest we've had gifted members go in weeks. Bernard Miller, Jedi Altair, Jedi Wix, 37 and PL. 4 of those people, I recognize your names. Yo, Kat, thank you so much. Who wants to test this out? Let's test it out. There's over 500 people here. Let's get a gifted member train going and see if they go that fast. We're trying to hit 1,500 members. If we hit 1,500 members, my wife and I have to play genital jousting on Friday night. If you're a brand new member or a recently added member, don't forget, we do members-only content every day on this channel, and then we do a stream on Friday nights with my wife. The extra content every day is an extra talk show. So if you like my talk shows, you might want to consider becoming a member. That extra content's sometimes pretty juicy. Thank you very much, Kat. I do. I think I really want to continue to make this case that they should, if they charge for Phantom Liberty, I support them doing that. I do. I support it. After everything the game has been through, I guarantee you there's going to be a lot of people that are like, no, they have no right to charge for an expansion. How big is the expansion? We don't know. We don't know. Phantom Liberty will be its No Man's Sky moment, says Murph. I'm curious how many people in chat right now would be willing to spend money on a Cyberpunk DLC or a Cyberpunk expansion. How many? Gifts not working again? They worked perfectly for the 5 there. I don't know why it's not working for you. Noble B says, I would. Poll? Yeah, let's do a poll. Eugene says, heck no. Did you say General Jousting? I did. It's a video game that my wife does not want to play. Okay. Cyberpunk DLC. If the Phantom Liberty expansion costs money, would you buy? Cyberpunk DLC. If the Phantom Liberty expansion costs money, would you buy? This is an easy poll. This is a super easy poll. Yes or no. Not a lot of thought going into this one. Guys, there's going to be a poll at the top of the chat. Make sure and take it. When you're done taking the poll, do me a favor. Since you're clicking things on the screen, give me 300 likes. We only need like 30 more likes. Thank you so much for everybody tuning in. A nice, strong start to the day. Love to see this many people here. If you've never been here before, I go by Lono, but the channel's Reforge Gaming. And we run a tight ship here. We give lots of content, lots of great talk shows. I wouldn't be willing unless it was $10 or less, says Mike Quad. Depends on the cost. Is Cyberpunk like GTA? I've never even played it. It's got similarities to it, but I wouldn't say it's like GTA. I would say there's similarities in the content loop, but a lot of it's not. You're not going to find it to be like a... I don't know. It probably is a lot like GTA. Hey, just found your channel. What are your thoughts on the current state of the game? So, Juan Solo, I love that name. Juan, for me, they've never won me over. Every time I've come back to the game for an update, I feel like there are fundamental things with this game that just rub me the wrong way. I feel like the dialogue is poorly executed. I feel like the main character is as stiff as a post and boring. I don't know. I feel like this game is supposed to rise and fall on the characters and the dialogue, and I feel like it's all so mediocre. Why do you go by Lono? It's just a name I've used in gaming since like the late 90s, early 2000s when I played Quake. There's a guy in a movie, his name is Lono. Dennis Leary plays him. It's a movie with Christopher Walken, and I've just gone by Lono ever since. It's just like a nickname. You don't have to call me Lono. Listen, if you want to come in and call me Lucas, I don't care. That's my real name. I don't care. Just, you don't need to come in and call me Reforge. You know what I'm saying? The female voice actor is better. Everyone always says that. That's not a solution, though. Right? That's not a solution. The solution's not to call him daddy. Yeah. The solution's not to do that. To switch to the girl. The game is this is supposed to be on the level of The Witcher. Come on, man. Come on. You Christmas blend coffee. The order's been submitted. I've not paid yet. We're waiting for the art to be approved because we're upgrading the bags. There'll be much better bags. It'll be available in November. You got to wait about 2 months. After the rough launch and the plethora of issues across the board, they owe it to the players to be free. They have to win players back somehow. Dark Prophet, I'm going to take up for the game, the developer, and the players right now. I think you're speaking out of turn. I think they have given the players plenty of things for free. Just today, they launched a free update with 3 missions, 6 weapons, 6 guns, 5 melee weapons, and transmog. Yeah, Lord Bacon Destroyer put the title of the movie in the chat. I just don't want to say it because that word, the S word, gets kind of flagged by YouTube. Like, you know what I'm saying? I actually think they have given plenty free to the community. Listen, I don't like the game, but I'm going to defend CD Projekt Red and say they've given plenty for free. They don't owe you anything else. It's a different game today, according to the people that play it. They're like, it's a completely different game. Yo, Coyote hitting an 18-month milestone and a tier 4. Hell, Lucas doesn't work as good as Hellono. I know. If they fixed issues on PC and the expansion's good, I would play. I would pay. Unfortunately, Fortnite has cannibalized the industry with free expansions. I can't disagree on your point, but I find it rude to just walk away from the customers that treated the worst. On last gen, they took the money and they never fixed the experience. All right, YouTube lurker, let's consider something, though. I agree with you in principle. I said that this morning. I said, talk about adding insult to injury. You launched this game. It's been held back and crummy since beginning because of old gen. And now you finally get rid of last gen? Seriously? I kind of agree with you. But at the same time, what are they supposed to do? It's a terrible situation. Because it's like, are they supposed to shackle the game eternally? Consider this. Consider my theory, YouTube lurker. What if there's a 1.7, 1.8, and 1.9 patch loaded in the hopper over the next 10 months, and they're bonkers good. And then, end of next year, they deliver 2.0, they deliver Phantom Liberty, and it's a massive moment for the game. What if that's only possible by leaving behind old gen? Do you still think that they shouldn't do it? Don't all those old gen folks own the game and can upgrade to a new console, and then they get to enjoy all of those spoils? Do you honestly think everybody's going to stay on Xbox One and the PS4 for forever? Those people still own the property. They still own the game and can then enjoy everything. They're not necessarily disrespecting those people in perpetuity. It's just if those people stay on those old consoles, they do. The next gen update's free. Gonna be frank, bugs aside, if they underdelivered on so much, if they fix that and charge for it, F them. But Eugene, just the other day you were arguing that they have fixed the game. You were just in chat the other day saying that. We were comparing it to Halo, and you argued that CD Projekt Red had done enough to consider Cyberpunk fixed. You said that. They fixed the bugs, and they delivered tons of free content. Just today is like, how many updates have they done? Just today, they added 3 new missions, 6 guns, 5 melee weapons, and transmog. What are you talking about? They fixed bugs, not missing features. That's not true. That's not true. They added a feature today for free. They added transmog. But those are crumbs? What? Why am I being... I'm defending Cyberpunk now. What has happened? They fixed the mediocre RPG experience, the lack of meaningful choices? Okay, here's the thing. Your opinion on the mediocre RPG experience and the lack of meaningful choices is based on reviews. Okay, so if you're going to formulate an opinion that centers around reviews, can we look at the Steam reviews? Can we? Let's be fair. Let's be fair, Eugene. Lack of meaningful skill trees. Again, you're basing that off of reviews. That's not your opinion. That's from people you trust. Well, what have we been saying recently? I trust Steam way more than Metacritic. And the Steam reviews, this game's not bad. This game's not maybe as bad as you say. 483,000 reviews, and it's mostly positive on Steam. Like, come on. If you're going to formulate an opinion about the game based on reviews, then formulate an opinion on the game based by reviews. Cyberpunk 2077 on Steam has been reviewed by almost 500,000 people, and it has a 77%. Now, that's low for CD Projekt Red, but that's almost an 80% after 500,000 people reviewed it. So if you're going to formulate an opinion about the game based on reviews, then formulate an opinion based on the reviews. This game is not a piece of trash where they've not done enough. I would say it is a good game that I don't like. I don't think it's excellent. I think it's like mediocre, okay? It's fine, but I don't think that's substantive enough of a claim to be like they've not done enough. They shouldn't charge for an expansion. When they're literally giving people missions, weapons, and transmog for free. The universe has officially flipped upside down. I'm defending Cyberpunk. And if they address that and charge for it, it's BS? No. You're misunderstanding how this is going to go. You think they're going to charge for fixes after all this time? You're not catching what's happening. 1.6 is free today. Cyberpunk 2077 1.6 is free today. 1.7 will be free. 1.8, 1.9 will be free. This is my theory. All free. 2.0 will be free. And Phantom Liberty is an expansion that you'll have to pay for. That's how they'll slice it, homie. They're not going to charge for core game fixes. They haven't done that up to now. You either die the critic or live long enough to become the fanboy. Are the Steam reviews fair as there's no last-gen issues there? That's the point, Fuzzy, is that if you're gonna judge the game according to its core parts, it's got a good score on Steam. Now that doesn't mean that I'm not like getting rid of all of the problems the game has had. What I'm saying is they have done enough to say this game is completely different than when it was launched. It's now where it needs to be. We charged $0 for all of this. Now that we've done that, we are going to charge for this expansion. It would be like taking the time to fix all of the core problems with your theme park, letting all the people come back in that paid money and saying, hey, now that we've done this, we have this new area. Gonna cost money to get in there. Excuse me. Does that make sense? I feel that by the time that Phantom Liberty comes out, they're well within their right to be like, this is the game that we wanted to deliver. Now we feel we have the right to sell an expansion. I actually think that that's totally fair. That's totally fine. I'd assume Phantom Liberty will have some features for the game, even if you don't buy the game expansion, like some smaller overhauls and additions. The running theory that I have right now is that the Cyberpunk DLC that they announced is going to be so substantive, the game will be in such a better state by then, no one's going to question buying the DLC for $10 or $20. That's my theory. 1.6 is a free update today. They call it a DLC. It's a free DLC, okay? 1.6 landed today with 3 missions, 6 guns, 5 melee weapons, and transmog. And then there's some other content loop things that they added. All totally free. That's the last time last gen gets one. I think that there's going to be a 1.7, a 1.8, and a 1.9 that are going to be great, and they're going to be so great and substantive that old gen can't get them. And then 2.0 will land simultaneously with Phantom Liberty, and 2.0 will be totally free. The expansion is going to be content. It's not going to be fixes and core game problems addressed. It's going to be new content, which they have every right to sell for. I think we're passing in the night. I may not be understanding why you don't think they, or what you think that they shouldn't be able to charge for. Maybe it's because all of the things you're talking about, they're not charging for. They're addressing all of those things. This update today fixed the police system. It addressed problems with the police system and vehicular combat. The game is so far away from what they promoted and sold and hyped for years. If the expansion delivers the game they promised and paid for, screw them. My theory, Eugene, is operating on the fact that the community won't feel that way. That the next swath of free updates, that people are going to say, this is the game that I always wanted it to be. They've gotten this game to where it should be. I'm willing to buy expanded content. Right? Like, that's my theory, is operating on an assumption that the reason they're leaving behind last gen with 1.6 today is because there will be at least 2 to 3 updates between now and Phantom Liberty's release date, and those updates will fundamentally change the game, or at least bring it so far forward that the community will say, I'm totally willing to buy a $10 or a $20 expansion. Now, if what you're saying happens, and the 2.0 moment and the really good content and the really good whatever is all hidden behind some $20 DLC, sure, people could be pretty angry about that. But do you honestly think they're going to hide, like, the real Cyberpunk behind a $20 DLC, like a $20 expansion? I just don't see that happening. Maybe if it was $40. I think that's going to be a lot harder of a sell. If Phantom Liberty's more than $20, that's when I think you're going to have people throwing challenge flags on the play and saying, whoa, you guys have done a lot of good work, but you need to slow the frick down here. Like, what are y'all doing? This game crawled out of the starting gate. It's now doing a light jog, and you think you can charge $40 for an expansion? Hey, we've gotten a lot of new subscribers today. If you're new to the community, welcome on in. Thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you for being here. Smash the like button and subscribe. That's totally free. It seems that gifted members are fixed only in the first stream of the day. So if you've been wanting to gift members, you got to do it during the first stream. If you can afford a membership, listen, it's $5 a month, and we give an absolute mountain of content for the value. For $5, you get a ton of extra content. So consider becoming a member on your own, so those that can't afford it, you can free up the runway, so when gifteds go out, it goes to people who are in a position that can't do the membership. We greatly appreciate the generosity that this community has continued to offer. The game currently has 17,000 people playing on Steam, so yeah, I'd say that people are still bought into the game. Are you freaking serious? Is that true? There's that many people playing right now? Cyberpunk Steam charts. Are you kidding me right now? Oh yeah. Even before the announcement, they have player peaks every day close to 10,000 players. Even before the announcement. But I'm looking back a couple days ago, September the 3rd, they were peaking in the 13,000s. September the 1st, peaking at 9,000 players. Even before the announcement, they're hitting player peaks of around 10,000 players. That's half the player peaks that New World hits with 20-something thousand. That's nuts. Yeah, more people play this game than Halo Infinite. Halo Infinite's multiplayer is free. Woo! That one hurts. The problem for me is having to wait 5 months for every update. The new content's good, but the game feels abandoned sometimes. I hear you, homie. I hear you. I mean, listen. Do you want good substantive updates or do you want trash? Like, you know what I mean? There was a time where Fortnite was patching their game every 7 days and they broke more stuff than they fixed sometimes. Like, there's a fine balance between updating your game too often and too little. Crawled out of the starting gate? No, the gun that starts the race was fired at it. Yeah, the starter pistol shot the horse. That's right, Murph. Hey, if you guys are just tuning in, we're covering the Cyberpunk DLC. The debate on the table is, have they done enough to warrant charging for Phantom Liberty? If the Cyberpunk 2077 expansion, right, if they charge for it, is that okay? Would you be willing to pay for it? There's a poll at the top of the chat that's coming close to 500 votes already. Cyberpunk DLC, if the Phantom Liberty expansion costs money, would you buy? It's a 60-40 split. A lot of you are saying, yeah, I would buy. The debate is, have they done enough to the core game for free to warrant charging money? Right? Have they done enough to the core game to warrant charging money is the question. Freaking Halo Infinite, golly jeez. 2,500 people are playing right now. Shoo! No animals were harmed in the making of this stream, that's right. I miss games like that. Just focus on a good game and story, and not after game filler crap. The game failed at the early quality, but they've been making good updates. Absolutely, yes, they have. I've been defending the game this morning. Listen, if you're familiar with my content, it's felt a little strange this morning to defend Cyberpunk, but I'll be honest with you. I can't argue with the 77% on Steam when almost 500,000 people have reviewed the game. Close to 500,000 people have reviewed this game on Steam and it has a 77%. That means that this game, at some level, is in many people's minds, is a good game. You know? Cyberpunk has 15 times more players than Halo right now. Jiminy frickin' Christmas. Now, they did just push out an update, so it's a little unfair, but I get your point. It is a little unfair. Today, literally today, is a free update for Cyberpunk. You know, so, yeah. You messed up your math. Yeah, I think you meant to say, what is it? It's like almost 7 times. Artaram with renewing their membership, jumping back in. Thank you, Artaram, for keeping your membership here. It's not a terrible game in my opinion, says PL. Maybe you're missing out if you never play it. Okay, listen. I'm going to tell you all right now, Cyberpunk 2077 gameplay has been featured on my channels over the years, right? Like, fairly regularly. And I've never once thought it was a very good game. I haven't. I've been very critical of this game. Fans of Cyberpunk don't typically like my coverage of the game. You know me, I want companies to charge and make buckets of cash. It's a totality of the circumstances here for me. So, Eugene, if they do what I think they're going to do, how do you feel about that? Imagine I'm right. Imagine that I am right. And there's a 1.7, a 1.8, and a 1.9 that are really good. And they're so good that people are like, holy cow. That's why they left behind old gen. Because 1.6 is the last update for old gen. So if there's 3 updates that really push the ball forward, and then there's a 2.0, all of these are totally free. If that lays and elevates the foundation of the game, do you think they're allowed to charge for Phantom Liberty? Do your patches fix the fundamental issues with the core game? See, here's the problem, Eugene. It's like you're asking them to rebuild the game, and I don't think they can do that. They can't rebuild the dialogue trees. They can't rebuild those elements. Now, I've been told they made changes to the skill trees to make certain decisions more meaningful. Didn't they do that in 1.5? Didn't like 1.5 or 1.4 do things to your skill tree and your building options to make it more important and more impactful? Because some of the reviews said that a lot of that stuff just didn't matter. I think it should be free. It's not going to shock me if Phantom is paid. Someone says, yes, big skill changes. Yes, they did. It was 1.5. I'm asking them to deliver close to what they promised before charging for more. I don't think you're going to get that. Here's why I think your argumentation's unfair, and I'm going to establish why, Eugene. Eternally holding them to the hype machine and the marketing from years ago, I think is wasted effort. To expect them to say, hey, look, we overhyped the game 7 to 8 years ago, so we can never, ever charge for an expansion. I don't think that's a fair argument. I think it's fair for you as the consumer to be like, well, I'm not going to pay, and here's why. But I don't think it's a compelling argument to be like, well, you guys had really hyped up trailers 8 years ago. The game's never going to be that, so you're not allowed to charge for expansions. I'm not compelled by that argumentation. I think that's a legitimate position for you to conclude, like, listen, I was paying attention to your game from the early trailers. I really thought it was going to be at this level. It's never been at that level. Seemingly, that's an impossible level to ascend to because you overhyped your game. Therefore, I'm not going to ever spend money on the game. I think that's like a legitimate way to look at it as a consumer. I'm not compelled. I'm not compelled by that because I don't find that to be fair to be like, well, they overhyped the game 8 years ago, so they can never, ever earn the goodwill. They can never, ever get back to a place of not only that, it's got a 77% on Steam. So I have to look at that and say, clearly, it didn't hit the hype levels that they said, but it certainly didn't fall all the way down the stairs. It's pulling practically an 8 on Steam. So I'm not, because it's not a 9, you know what I mean? It's not their first game either, totality. Yeah, I know. You're looking at the total picture. You're saying, you guys made The Witcher 3, you squashed bugs, and a beautiful game emerged. You treated it with such respect. The DLC was incredible. Where the frick is that game level? Where is the quality level that we got back there? Where is that in Cyberpunk? I do. I hear you. Eugene's position's not based on value. It's based on ethics. Most people only care about value. They need to let their games do the talking, not the media. If you haven't been paying attention, I think marketing has dramatically changed in the last 2 years for gaming. It's dramatically changed. Just look at what the frick Sony's doing and Ragnarok's doing. It's arguably irritating, right? It's arguably irritating because it's like they don't want to say anything, so they're running in the opposite direction. Instead of saying too much, instead of saying, here's everything, or instead of overhyping, they're like underhyping. You think there was a Cyberpunk chilling effect? It might have been Cyberpunk, Zubair, and Anthem. It might be Cyberpunk and Anthem that companies are like, yo, back up. Stop it. Stop hyping the game. We gotta underhype, man. Just give them a minute. Give them 1 minute gameplay clips. You know? That was embarrassing and disrespectful to us yesterday with the 1 minute clips. Yeah, Game Informer really... It was Game Informer that said that they had 4 minutes of footage. I mean, it is more on them than anything, but I still think Santa Monica and Sony are part of that dance. They could have given them more footage. Sony and Santa Monica are being stingy because they want the Sony showcase to have, you know, probably a ton of great stuff. Cyberpunk, Anthem, and No Man's Sky. Yeah, there's some pretty big titles that fundamentally failed to deliver on their promises and their hype. And I think a lot of people were like, bro, did you see the stock value fall for CD Projekt Red? We can't do that. You know? Don't sell it unless we've actually managed to build it. Did you see the commentary? We've got a video coming about Fable on our updates channel. And it's like, they won't show us anything until it's ready, probably because of Halo. Hey guys, we've been live for exactly 1 hour, and whenever I hit the 1 hour mark, YouTube tells me, hey, it's a good time to run ads. We don't like to disrupt the live environment with ads. If you watch the VOD, there's about an ad every 30 minutes. That's a traditional YouTube experience, we think, like spaced out ads, and it's not live. So we call on people to do super chats and members and gifted members as a way to support live streams, because constantly running ads would not be, I don't think, a great treatment of the live audience. So consider doing that. No showcase was announced. You know what I think happened, Mike? I think all of the smoke around the 8th, I think they're going to announce the showcase tomorrow, and it's going to be a 2-week window. I think it's hitting on the 22nd. I think everybody misfired on the 8th. I think the 8th, the reason there's all this smoke around September the 8th is that's the day they're going to announce the showcase. I think people got it wrong. That's my new working theory. I love the show and how much touch and interactive with the viewers and chat members you are. It's refreshing. Well, thank you. I appreciate that, Corey. On launch, I had like 2 plot-stopping bugs on PC fixed and reload. Nothing like the things I've seen on the consoles. Yeah, I mean, the old-gen consoles got really bad treatment. Fuzzy says, here's the problem with just letting your game do the talking. If it don't sell, you ain't getting more. So good games just lose to Fortnite. And we don't see any innovation. The studios under Xbox are in a concerning state at the moment. That's kind of a sidebar issue. It hasn't anything really to do with this discussion. They never recovered from that. It's bad. Yeah, like look at the stock value for CD Projekt Red. So they spike up. They spike up to over $400 a share in prior to 2021, and they've dropped well back down below. They dropped down to about $200 a share, and then they dropped again. Now they're down below $100 a share. Gee, many freaking Christmas. They went back in time to like 2017, 2018 levels of stock value. They got set back by like 5 years. That is freaking painful. They're lucky they didn't get sued by their shareholders. Did they get sued by their shareholders? You mentioned Fable and my brain went in that direction. No, you're good, Lewis. I just got to kind of keep the guardrails up. I think the market was grossly overvaluing CD Projekt Red stock prior to Cyberpunk's launch as well. It jumped onto the hype wagon. Hopefully they're learning something about the gaming industry from that. They did get sued? Yeah, what was the result of that? I can't imagine being a shareholder and have my stock value get cut in half. That'd be pretty frustrating. Especially if you had a chunk, man. You really backed them. That's pain. 100% there were lawsuits. Don't know if they actually went anywhere. Yeah, you'd have to substantiate a whole lot of claims about Cyberpunk's quality. CD Projekt Red will pay only $1.85 million to settle the lawsuit. Oh, so they paid just under $2 million to settle? Considering they didn't release a game, that entire game, it's fair to claim that the hype for Cyberpunk inflated their valuation. Yeah, that's likely why they settled, because you probably could make a compelling case that the hype surrounding Cyberpunk led to the inflation of the stock value, which led to the loss. It also probably led to the buy-in. There was probably a lot of people buying in, thinking, let's go, I'm going to ride this rocket ship. I mean, the debate right now, you guys are split 60-40. Cyberpunk DLC, if the Phantom Liberty expansion costs money, would you buy? That's the poll at the top of the chat, and it's a 60-40 split. So let me know in the chat why you would or would not buy. We only need 50 more likes for 400 likes. A nice strong start to the day, guys. Thanks for smashing the like button. We're also talking about a possible paid DLC. Right, like, my contention and argument has been that leaving behind old gen is a huge piece of this puzzle, and we can't understate that. We can't understate the impact of leaving behind old gen. They're not leaving behind old gen with the expansion. With the Phantom Liberty expansion, that's not when they're leaving it behind. They're leaving behind old gen after today. Today, Cyberpunk 2077 1.6 update, free for everybody. Hit today. It added 3 missions, 6 guns, 5 melee weapons, and transmog, and some other things. All today. And after today, no more is getting added to old gen. And that's why I think it's a significant piece of the puzzle. They've got a lot of work to do between now and when Phantom Liberty launches. And so I think there's going to be a very different mindset about this game when Phantom Liberty comes out. Like, consumers, people who own this game, that's who you're trying to sell the Cyberpunk expansion to. You're trying to sell it to people who already own the game. And those are the people I think that are going to be convinced 1.7, 1.8, and 1.9 were such amazing free updates. Yes, I'll buy the expansion for 10 or 20 bucks. No doubt in my mind. No doubt in my mind that this is totally fine. Will the DLC be on the Series S? As far as I know. I would buy it to support the developer because every developer has either made a bad game or an underwhelming one. I don't know. I mean, if that's how you look at it as a consumer, that's fine. I don't think a lot of people would probably share your sympathies. They would say, nah, they marketed the game knowing it wasn't going to be as good as it was. Not only did they market the game knowing it wasn't going to be as good as they claimed it was, they sold it on old-gen consoles knowing how bad it was. And they shoved it out anyway, right? There's probably a lot of people who do not share your sympathies for the company. You know? The updates kept me coming back in the game, so yes, I will buy the DLC. Honestly, I think CD Projekt Red should have done what Final Fantasy Online did, back to the drawing table and do a full re-release. Now, there's a part of me that doesn't think they're going to do full re-release, but I think there will be a free 2.0 update that will feel like a soft reboot to the game. That's my theory. They've not said that. I'm kind of weaving that myself. They could make Cyberpunk the best game ever, and I like it, and I wouldn't give a cent to CD Projekt Red. For comparison, CD Projekt Red made over $563 million in game sales during their release, and they spent just $2.2 million on its Help Me Refund campaign, designed to provide refunds to players who are unable to claim one from the original vendor. Right, but that's not that. If that's all you're looking at, they spent more refunding the game than the lawsuit. Oh, I see the point that Fuzzy's making. That actually is kind of funny. They spent more refunding the game than they did on the lawsuit. That's pretty good. As someone who doesn't own the game, I would only get it if the base game and the expansion are sold in a bundle under $60. I can totally see that. I think that's reasonable. If they want to sell a bundled version of, Cyberpunk 2.0 is free, right? But then they bundle in the expansion and you're buying the game brand new, I could totally see them saying, hey, we'll give it to you everything for $40, right? And people who already own the game are going to buy the expansion for $20. Enhanced edition after the expansion is the most sensible way about it. CD Projekt Red is no longer the developer with the highest market valuation in Poland. Techland surpassed them. Oh, really? 3 games. The Witcher 1 gave them huge profit, and they continued to improve for its sequels. Yeah, and The Witcher 3 is an interesting game. If you look at the history of gaming, they actually got a grant from the government to develop The Witcher 3. So a lot of what they did with that game, I think people forget that they were able to treat that game the way they did because it was a self-published title. They were not answering to a publisher. They weren't answering to some big conglomerate that's like, hey, we gave you money, push this game out now. Or, hey, we gave you money, do this and charge for that. They didn't have to worry about any of that. It was a self-published title. Development teams engaged on ongoing projects. It's a big team working on the expansion, says Paul. So if we look at this, support for Cyberpunk in the next gen version. What else? Other projects, Gwent, Spoko. Oh, the CP expansion. Yeah, here, let's look at this. This is actually an interesting chart. Where'd you pull that? So this chart is showing us what the teams are working on. And the team size that you want to pay close attention to is the teal team. The CP expansion, all right? This is from their quarterly earnings, okay? So the CP expansion is teal. So 2020, it's that size. Middle of last year, it's that size. End of last year, it's this size. Look, it's mushroomed, right? The team that is working on the expansion doubles from year over year. This size doubles. Now here I wouldn't say it doubles. It looks like it increased by about 15%, maybe 20%. So early this year, by the time they land in April, the team working on the expansion is the biggest team at the company. Do you see? This, more than likely what they're doing is this yellow is hopping to teal. Boom. This yellow's hopping to teal. Boom, boom. Look how small yellow is. Look how big teal is. So to me, that right there, it adds a little bit of credence to what I'm saying. The expansion's going to be massive. Now, actually, this hurts my theory a little bit because my theory is that we're going to get a 1.7, 1.8, a 1.9, and a 2.0, and the expansion lands with 2.0. Now, the only way my theory holds water is if this team here, the teal team, is doing expansion as well as all those updates to prep for the expansion. Right? So, look at this. Support for Cyberpunk and the next-gen version. This yellow team is shrinking. Now, if 1.7 and beyond are in this yellow category, my theory starts to fall apart. If this teal category includes both the expansion and the 1.7, 8, 9, and 2.0 to get it ready, then my theory holds water. My theory is a little shaky, honestly, looking at that graph. It's a little shaky because that yellow bar has shrunk quite a bit. Yep, fixes to next gen are pushed and then shift them to dev. The video game industry is the only one that can sell a broken product and nothing happens. It's considered to be acceptable. Who says that? Do you think the stock? Do you think that? You think that? What? Let me show you something here. What? Why are you saying that? You think Anthem and Halo and Cyberpunk are proof of that? What about Battlefield? How good do you think Battlefield's doing right now as far as profitability and money? You think it's acceptable? This right here, it's not acceptable. CD Projekt Red got set back 5 years on their stock value. They got set back half a decade because they launched a piece of crap. It's not acceptable at all. They need to be held accountable financially. Yeah, right here. You're correct. Yep. There you go. There's your financial accountability, homie. In green lines turning red. What are you talking about? It's not acceptable at all. It's companies are getting absolutely shredded, and their products are getting fleeced and ruined. They are not making money. There's rumors that 343 is under a hiring freeze. Do you want to know why? Because they're not making money. If listen, all the Xbox guys can be, Halo Infinite's fine. It's fine. No, it's not. If it was fine and making money, if it was fine and making money, they would be hiring people. They'd be expanding. A few days ago, people were calling for an entire dev studio to be fired, but it's acceptable. That's what I'm saying. It's not acceptable. Well, no. The premise of your argument was the video game industry is the only one that can sell a broken product and nothing happens. That statement is false. It might feel that way to you, but it's not true. These companies have been shredded. It's considered to be acceptable. No, it's not. They need to be held accountable financially by a governing body. No, they don't. We don't need a governing body. The market is taking care of these companies. The market took care of CD Projekt Red, pulled their pants down, and spanked their butt red. 5-year stock value setback, sued by their shareholders. The market took care of CD Projekt Red. Sit down. Your product sucks. We don't need a governing body. We are the governing body. You're the governing body. We're not locked in here with them. They're locked in here with us. You make a game and it sucks, you better buckle the frick up, because gamers are coming. Reviews are coming. Refunds are coming. We don't need a governing body. We are the governing body. Day one patches, that's not an indication of a bad industry. Broken games release and it's become the norm where a patch is released and it's fixed and people are cool with that. Not all, obviously. You're creating a false equivalency, though. Day one patches and companies fixing bugs is not equal to what Cyberpunk and Battlefield were. That's no. If you're going to try and use a day one patch as some sort of evidence that we're getting a bunch of half-baked garbage, it's a fundamental misunderstanding of development cycles and why day one patches are, like, super important. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's not indicative of a problem. Pick a really, really great game that's come out recently. Pick a really great game that was praised and lauded and given great review scores, right? Pick any game. They always have day one patches because what they ship to you on the disc and the thing that has to be uploaded and goes through certifications, they're still working on the game after that. Day one patches are indicative of a company that's fighting for value and quality. It's not indicative of a problem in the industry. It isn't. True, I just think that games should be released in an already completed state, but yeah, I see what you're saying. Again, you're creating a false binary. That's a false dichotomy. They either ship in a completed state and there's no patches, or if there's patches in the beginning weeks or day one, it's not a completed game. No, that's a false dichotomy. Plenty of completed, polished, excellent games get delivered, and within the first week they're getting patched. Why? Because they're still working on the game till the 11th hour. Why? Because they want the game to be amazing. Yeah, we discovered a weird quest bug. We fixed it. We discovered this weird camera glitch. We fixed it. There was a texture mapping issue. It's been fixed. That doesn't mean the game's not complete. You know what I'm saying? If somebody builds my house, and a week after I move into the house, I call the electrician and I say, hey, there's a light switch in the bathroom that's acting funny. Can you come take a look? I wouldn't be like, it's unbelievable. I can't believe our house wasn't completed. You'd be like, oh yeah, somebody made a minor mistake. Yeah, they got to rewire. They got a wire. They got a red and a blue wire swapped or something. I'm not an electrician, so I'm just saying random potential problems. You know what I'm saying? It's impossible to provide the same level of testing that gamers do within the first 48 hours. That's right. It's mathematically impossible to test what we achieve in the first 48 hours of a game's release. Like, the fact that developers can act as quickly as they can is actually a sign of health, not a sign of problems. If a game launches and within 48 hours we're like, oh my gosh, there's this weird thing that happens in this one level, you can fall through the floor, and they fix it a week later, that's actually a sign of health. That's not a sign of problems, right? I'm not trying to say that games don't launch in a shambles. I'm saying when they do, they pay the frickin' price. They pay the piper, and we're the piper. It's like, what is this? You like, look at Battlefield 2042, Halo Infinite, and look at Cyberpunk. All these games launched and got absolutely shredded, and they're not doing well. They're not healthy. Their player bases are in the dadgum toilet, and if their player bases are in the toilet, so are the financials. So we are the governing body. We are the ones saying you can't do this. And to be quite honest with you, I think it's working rather well. The bad actors are getting punished, and the good games are being celebrated. Do you think that Anthem will have a negative effect on Dragon Age sales? I'm not too sure that it will. No, it won't. Number one, you've got a timeline thing, right? You'll have recency bias. People will see trailers for Dragon Age. They won't even think of Anthem because of how long ago it was. They also won't even connect those dots. A lot of consumers won't even connect those dots. They won't even think to say, "Oh, these are the guys that made Anthem." Now there'll be hardcore people that say that, but I don't think there will be enough people that say, "No, you burned me on Anthem. I'm not buying Dragon Age." There won't be enough people to actually affect sales. That's some even bigger facts. At least CD Projekt Red got their management in a good state to support their game. This is just another reason I would trust to throw them some bucks for an expansion, says Fuzzy. Unless you're Bethesda, then people will fix the game for you. Well, yeah. Anthem wasn't bad, it was just boring. No, Anthem was bad. I have a reaction video coming out very soon where I react to Ginger Prime talking about New World, and I actually substantiate why you can call certain games bad and certain games failures, even if they have good parts. New World is a bad game. New World is a game that failed. You can say that, while saying it's got good parts and good things. You can say that Anthem had good parts while simultaneously saying it's a bad game, it failed. You could say similar things to Vanilla Destiny 1 and Vanilla Destiny 2. Bad games that fundamentally failed, but turning it around doesn't negate those statements at launch. Like, Cyberpunk being in a much better state now doesn't negate those statements that Cyberpunk launched and it was a bad game and they failed. It was a failed game. Now, you could argue that it still is a bad game. That's a lot of subjectivity when it comes to quest design, dialogue, etc. Sometimes we're not talking about the actual quality of the game. We're talking about the player's opinion about the game, and that's when it gets a little muddy. Late to the party, but just look at EA, says Suede. Tons of people complain about Madden and FIFA, but look, it still sells like crazy to the masses. Yeah, because the market's not doing its job. Well, no, the market's doing its job. We just don't like what it's doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, a parent can bring their kid to soccer practice on time and feed their kid and take care of their kid. And their kid could be an awful, horrible brat that's mean to everybody on the team. Now, if you're like, well, that parent is a failure, that parent's not doing their job. Well, you don't like the job they're doing, but they're doing their job. You just don't like the job that they're doing. Madden and FIFA coming from EA, you don't like what they're doing. You don't like that the market's supporting it. You don't like the job that the market is doing, but the market's still doing its job. It's responding to a product and deciding whether or not to support it with money. The market's doing its job. You just don't like the job that it's doing. You can't say the market's not doing its job. It is. It is. Fortnite skin selling for $20. You might not like it, but that's the market doing its job. It's communicating with its spending and its engagement to the company. Sounds personal? No, we actually have great kids on our team. We don't have anybody like that. Like I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, man, we have such a group of sweet girls. It'd be so unfortunate if we got like a little brat on the team that was mean to everybody. Like, I don't know how I would handle that. Anthem was bad and boring. Remember how a level 1 gun actually was better than a high level gun because lame arbitrary system? Yeah, that game was busted internally. The size of the publisher, I think, can have an effect on what happens in response to the market. EA is massive. A small publisher doesn't have the war chest to offset market sentiments. But the market sentiment, no, that's not why Madden and FIFA are successful. They're not successful because of the war chest to offset market sentiments. They're successful because the market supports it. There are no alternatives to Madden, though, so how could the market actually do its job? Just saying. But that's an external conversation to the market doing its job. That's a conversation to be had for governing bodies, maybe wanting to step in and say, hey, you have a monopoly, you have a controlling interest in this game, and that's not allowing for competition, which is allowing you to do things in the game that is, that's a long argument that I think you're gonna have a hard time making. It's because of licensing. Like, they pay for the license, so their pricing structure could potentially be justified. They're having alternatives to Madden, and they have not survived. There just isn't other football games for competition. I'm pretty sure they have had other games, right? It's exactly why 2K and Madden succeed. They have no competition. Well, they have games that come out, but nobody buys them, because they have the licensing to the player names and the team names. So who's going to want to play a game as the Cleveland, as the Cleveland Puppy Dogs instead of the Cleveland Browns? Other games, the players are named Bill. That's exactly right. That's why they can substantiate their pricing structure, because it's like, look, we pay for all the licensing. Shut the frick up. Like, it's expensive to build this game and to provide this game for you is expensive. We're getting off the rails. We're getting away from Cyberpunk. It's a little too early for that. We're only an hour and a half into the show. We got to be careful. The point is, coming back to Cyberpunk and the Cyberpunk DLC, the market did its job. Cyberpunk has been trying to climb out of a pit for 2 years now. Now, I'm curious what you guys think about this. Is the franchise getting put out to pasture for The Witcher 4? Or do you think the Cyberpunk franchise will continue with a sequel or with more expansions? Do you think Cyberpunk is getting put out to pasture for The Witcher 4? And they'll just never come back to it. They'll never do any more expansions after this. They'll never do another game. Where do you land on this as a franchise? I have my own ideas and theories. You think it will continue, says Kyrie. My thought on it's pretty simple. They've invested way too much for this to truly be the end. I think the engagement with the DLC will decide, says Metanoia. No, I think they've already decided that they're not done. I think Cyberpunk will have more expansions or a sequel if the expansion does well. So Jinxter is agreeing with Metanoia. I think if the expansion does well, it'll continue. Chainsaw agrees with that idea that they're going to rest everything on this expansion success. Witcher has had its run. It's time to put it to rest. I mean, Witcher 4 is coming out. Cyberpunk sequel is 100% going to happen after The Witcher 4 or more DLC, says Hilly. Witcher 4 is better than anything Cyberpunk can do. EA won't... Oh, you're still talking about that. Apologies for the distraction. CD Projekt Red has an uphill battle and a lot of negative PR to overcome. I'm still optimistic that they can rebound, but the leadership needs to stay out of the way. Godson says, put out to pasture, too much bad publicity. Guys, we've been up and streaming for a while. I'm seeing a lot of names in chat without a joystick. If you don't have a joystick next to your name and you want to become a member, it's only $5. You might get a gifted member. You got to watch and be here a lot to qualify for those gifted members. The more loyal you are, the more greater your chance is. We think we've discovered the issue. We think gifted members work in the first stream and not in the second or third. So we already had them work amazing this morning. They were super fast. Cat gifted 5. With last gen gone now, they're going to continue, says Sane. Depends on the reception of the expansion. So a lot of you think that this expansion is where they're going to rest everything. Lono, I agree with what you're saying. Just wanted to express that I think that companies should be held more accountable. Much love. No, Spy Who Swags, you're good, man. Bring different viewpoints and disagreement to the stream. I love it. I love it. I think they are being held accountable. I think the massive money that some of these games have lost, that's the accountability. Other than what public floggings, like I don't know what you would want us to do to them. They're losing money, and that's one of the greatest forms of accountability for a company that you can met out. Do the Joker voice again? Why? Why are you asking me to do the Joker voice? They have a solid version on PC, and depending on what lands with 1.6 onwards, they're on a different road. They have joined the road that No Man's Sky is on, says Hilly. With last gen out of the picture, when the second Cyberpunk arrives, I think they will continue. I'm surprised Keanu is still working in the game. That's another reason why I think that they're not done with this franchise. I don't even think they're done with Cyberpunk 2077. I think the Cyberpunk DLC is the hinge turn. Why else would you drop last gen? Why else would you get Keanu? And track with me here. They're not just dropping last gen with the expansion. They're dropping last gen basically tomorrow. This week's free update is it for last gen. They've got a lot of time between now and the expansion. They've got a lot of time to push out really, really good free updates. I'm starting to see the things I called. Them release some patches in a DLC and all is forgiven. It's not that simple for me. They're not on the No Man's Sky path. Yeah, I don't necessarily know if they're pushing out updates that are as substantive as No Man's Sky. Like today they pushed out an update that was pretty good. It was pretty good. It was pretty substantive. But I don't know if it's as substantive as, what we've been getting for No Man's Sky for the past, how many free updates. Been a lot of free updates for No Man's Sky. A lot of them. And they've been pretty good. As someone who enjoyed Anthem, I hope they continue to work on and improve Cyberpunk. It really sucks when the devs just give up. 2077 is solid on PC and current generation consoles, and with last gen consoles out of the way, they can build something better. I just don't know that people will care. Cyberpunk still has a ton of potential to expand that world. Witcher is huge and successful, but I'm not sure there's as much opportunity with the fourth installment. It's hard to keep it fresh. I also think it's going to be hard to keep it fresh if there's no Geralt. Wouldn't it just be so they can focus development time from now until the DLC, so no delays? Maybe. Metanoia, my theory is not airtight. My theory's not airtight because of a graph. This graph shows that a lot of the yellow bar has been shrinking every report, and look how small it is now. That's support for Cyberpunk in the next gen version. Now, support might not fall under all the free DLCs that will lead up to the expansion. The expansion is the teal, double in size, probably a 15% increase. This is the largest that it's been. Most of the companies working on the expansion. Now, the question would be, does Cyberpunk support include those free DLCs with missions and features, or does it not? Right? We got a ton of people to click on this video today from Browse. If I was on your homepage on YouTube, I really appreciate you clicking on this video, clicking subscribe, clicking like. Maybe you became a member today, maybe not. We appreciate so much the support of the channel. Very, very much. And thank you so much for being here and lurking and listening and being awesome. We greatly appreciate it. More often than not, we are here doing a Safe for Work broadcast, and you can subscribe in confidence. It's a lot of gaming coverage. It's a lot of really, really good discussions and debates. We welcome people to come in and disagree as well. Thanks for 400 likes on the video. Nice milestone on the video. If anything, it's easier to keep it fresh because there is no Geralt. They already said they are working on a complete overhaul of the police system and New Game Plus. Other than that, I wouldn't expect much else before the DLC. The overhaul of the police system hit today. I don't think there will be a Witcher 4 yet. It will be a spin-off. What do you mean? They've announced it. What are you talking about, Texas? They literally said they're making a Witcher 4. What do you mean? They announced the actual game. I'm just here for the coffee. We've not had any coffee orders today. We had one gifted member batch. I'm still seeing a lot of gray names in chat. This may sound stupid, but what is safe for work? I think that's what you're saying. Yeah, safe for work. A safe for work broadcast is one where I'm not cursing and swearing. It's in the graph. New game in the Witcher IP. Yeah, it's in the graph. There's a new game in the Witcher IP on the graph. And this graph is from a quarterly report. Want to know something other than coffee? You're pretty sure the police system is still being worked on? Ain't no way they abandon the IP. They're going to do a sequel on the Unreal Engine. I actually think that. The CEO said that the Cyberpunk expansion was the last project in the Red Engine and that every future product would be in Unreal 5. So he was very, very intentional with his wording. Very intentional with his wording. The way they said it does not mean Witcher 4. So, you think they would call it something other than The Witcher 4? Didn't they release an image that literally said it had the Witcher name on it? Confirmed, the next Witcher game is not The Witcher 4. So they might not call it The Witcher 4, but didn't they push out something with the word Witcher on it? It'll be Witcher something. They pushed out like official artwork. So what do you think they're going to call it something else and it's in the Witcher universe? I swear to you there was art and it said Witcher right across the center. The Witcher 4 is probably a 2027 game. Yes, it's on their website. Actually, because of the anime, you may have a point about continuing and going all the way. Right? Like linking the two together. They pushed out Thronebreaker a while back. I thought The Witcher 3 was getting an next-gen update. It is. It's on this quarterly report graph. It's at the very bottom. The smallest team at the company is Brown, and you can see it's right above me. They started working on it sometime between December of 2021 and April of this year. Witcher 3 next-gen version. We'll probably get a first quarter release, I would think, or a summer release. They'll probably do that when they start marketing for the next Witcher game. Do I need a NASA computer to play Unreal 5? As far as I know, one of the good things about Unreal 5 is it's agile. It's the Unreal Engine has always been very optimizable. When Fortnite is now on Unreal 5, but when Fortnite was on Unreal 4, they optimized it for the old gen console so you could get 60 FPS. So I actually think that Unreal 5 will inherit those traits. Yeah, I mean, this is what they released, and we just call it The Witcher 4 because that's what everybody searches for, right? I cannot imagine that they don't use Witcher in the name. The Witcher. A new saga begins. Do you know what I'm saying? Okay. If we want to be pedantic about the fact that they're not going to call it The Witcher 4, well, who the frick cares about that? That's not what I'm talking about. It's going to be called Witcher something. It's a new Witcher game. Wasn't that for the TV show? No, that was for the game. That was them announcing the game, the next Witcher game. Yeah, a lot of people have guessed that it's a cat school medallion, yes. Looks like the TV show promotion. It's not the TV show promotion. They literally put that out in their official announcement about the game. We covered it because everyone was like, why are you announcing your next Witcher game when you haven't even fixed Cyberpunk? We literally covered it on this channel. I have a cool thumbnail and everything. Let me show you. Witcher. Right there. Witcher versus Cyberpunk. Like, we didn't get great hits that day. But that we literally covered it. The Witcher 4 was officially announced. And they didn't just announce it. They said they're building it in Unreal 5. I feel like I would remember that. Well, the viewership on that video was terrible. I don't know if y'all didn't show up or YouTube might have been having a crappy day. When did we cover that? YouTube was being absolutely butt in May and April. I wonder if that's when we covered it. Let me look here. March 24th. Yeah, that video should have done much better in March. We were doing really well in March. End of March into April. Well, things might have started getting bad end of March into April. There was a time period there where once Elden Ring died down, man, YouTube just did not treat us very well. Y'all? Yeah, y'all. I remember the Unreal 5 announcement, so you're probably right. Demon Souls changed its name to Dark Souls, and it succeeded. Lono, thoughts on Cyberpunk running at 60 FPS on the Series S? Probably not gonna happen. Very few games actually run at fidelity and 60 FPS on that system. Well, we have not announced today a game called The Witcher 4, a game exclusive to one storefront. It was our initial confirmation of a new saga in the Witcher franchise. Right now, we are not discussing any specific terms or story characters or mechanics or plot details. Okay, so they're basically saying, listen, it's going to be a new Witcher game, but we're not going to call it The Witcher 4. Paul said it runs at 900p. Cyberpunk runs at 900p on the Series S. Man, that Starfield's going to just be a dream over there. I suspect Cyberpunk 2 will be in Unreal as well. The CEO all but said that, William. He said that the Cyberpunk 2077 expansion was their last project in the Red engine. He said all future product will be in the Unreal 5 engine. So anything they build after this expansion, this is what's interesting to me, okay? This gets interesting. A lot of you said today that the Cyberpunk DLC will not be the last. Phantom Liberty will not be the last thing. They are going to do more. Okay, well, according to the CEO, this is the last thing they're doing in the Red engine. So, what if that's why they're leaving behind old gen? What if they're porting the game to Unreal 5? Why would they do that? Well, if they're going to do a sequel to Cyberpunk, porting the current game and all of its assets to Unreal 5 would be groundwork for the next game. It'd be groundwork for the expansion. It would feel like a soft reset. Yeah, I'm not going to click on that, Smashville. Thank you, though. I don't need to go read an article. We've conceded the point that it's not going to be The Witcher 4. Not TV show. Yeah, it's not TV show promo. Yeah. It's on there. It's on the game website. I appreciate you finding the article for me, but I don't need to, I'm not going to go read an article about The Witcher 4. We've conceded that The Witcher 4 won't be the official title. It's just easy to refer to it as that. At what point, why not just build a new game? It's just as much effort, right? Not necessarily. Not necessarily, Zubair. They can port all the assets over. They can subsidize that work by selling expansions in 2077. So they sell this expansion for 20, and people are like, it's a brand new game. New engine, new game, 2.0, whatever, right? This is all theory. And they can subsidize all that work. Guess what they just did? They got the consumer to pay for them to do all of the R&D for the Cyberpunk sequel. Now they've got all their assets, they've got all their quest building, character models, animations, everything built in Unreal 5. All that work has been done way ahead of time for the next game, and they got us to help pay for it. And people will probably gladly pay for it if the content's good. Again, this is all theory. The problem with my theory is that the CEO said that the Cyberpunk expansion would be the last project in the Red Engine. The question would be, if people in chat are correct and there are expansions beyond it that are coming, would they also be in the Red Engine and fall under that umbrella statement? Or are they doing something much bigger than just, here's an expansion? The biggest chunk of their team is working on this expansion. According to this chart from an earnings call, according to this chart from an earnings report, the teal box is everybody working on the expansion. So roughly 60% of the company is working on, or 50% of the company, it's between 50 and 60, is working on the expansion. No way they're porting Cyberpunk to UE5. I don't have expertise in this knowledge, but isn't porting for architecture? A new engine requires a rebuild. It would, yeah, it would. Unless they found some kind of commonality between the Red Engine. If they found good commonality between Red Engine and UE5 to potentially make porting it over something that is, more conceivable. I think it's a heavy task. Listen, if I was betting and putting chips on the table, I wouldn't put bets on this theory. I wouldn't. My bet would be they're gonna deliver this expansion in the Red Engine. They're gonna sell it for money, and if it does well, they'll do a second one, and then that'll be the end. That'll be the end. Was your PC promoted as a 1440-60 machine? What are people talking about with PC? Are you talking about performance of the game? Are you talking about performance of Cyberpunk on Series S? That would be the question. So the expansion won't be free. Currently, right now, the theory is they will sell this expansion. Yes. That's the going theory. I just don't understand why people are so upset that a $300 console doesn't place up at the same fidelity as a $500 console. Do we shame people who have low-end PCs at 1080-60? No, but they marketed the Xbox Series X to be a 1440-60 machine, and it struggles to hit that in virtually every game that comes out. I literally have guys get in my comments, and they're like, the Series S has more games running at 120 than any other console. Yeah, what you're going and grabbing, like, what, ancient titles? Excuse me. You're going and adding, like, you're going and grabbing ancient titles and turning on FPS boost, and you think you've achieved something worth talking about? Like, what the frick? Like, it's... No. It might be under Marvel's Spider-Man 2. There we go. Gaming news. Our second show is about Spider-Man 2. Oh, this one's going to be good. Good stuff here, man. Good stuff. I'm wanting to get ahead. I'm wanting to get ahead on this topic because this tweet from an insider. I'm excited, but I'm also a little worried because I'm like, oh no, there's something in the tweet that actually has me worried. That'll be our second show of the day. I'm scheduling it right now, but we won't go over there for another roughly 30 minutes. Did they market it as a 1440? Yeah, we went to the official Microsoft blog. They said it's a machine that targets 14. Well, no, it's not targets 1440 60. What was the phrasing? The phrasing basically made it sound like it's not a 4K machine. It's a machine that's going to be hitting 1440 60. Like, if you read the context of the promotional materials around the Series S, it 100% is not. It's not representative of what they delivered. They're like, in their official marketing materials, it was like the Series X is the 4K machine. It's capable of all this stuff. And then they said the Series S is going to be the 1440 60 machine. That's essentially what they said. It's basically a 1080 machine. Series S is a last generation console dressed up as a current generation. We're already seeing devs complain about the hardware. Yeah. How long before devs cut it? I had a bunch of people tell me I was an idiot when I said companies are going to skip it. Just frickin' wait. Starfield's a nail in the coffin. Just wait. I can patiently sit back and let that prediction come true and just sit back and wait. Isn't there an 8K sticker on the PS5? Yes, because it's compatible with 8K devices and is capable of 8K. They never once said you'd be playing a bunch of 8K games. It's capable of 8K. There's TVs that are capable of 8K. It makes sense to put 8K on the box. It's not comparable to how they marketed the Series S. I'm concerned about Insomniac's future. Can't wait to talk about it. All right, let's do it. Why didn't CD Projekt Red do it here? What do you mean, Cujo? If your theory about the S is getting left behind held water, you would think this would be the perfect situation for that to happen. Oh, because CD Projekt Red and Cyberpunk, the architectures are built in a way that they can get it to run on the S. It's running at 900, right? Whatever they're doing, they'll be able to get it to run on the S. It's probably just too big. It's too substantive for the old consoles. They've got the thing running at 900p on the S. Come on. How upset would you be if you bought Cyberpunk on last gen and it's last gen... Oh, and it's being left behind before the first expansion. I said that this morning, Minch Tree. Right? I said that this morning. I'm not saying that they shouldn't leave behind last gen. I'm not saying that. But... it's got to be it's got to feel like insult to injury. It's got to feel like insult to injury to be like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, this is one of the primary reasons that this game was held behind. This is one of the primary reasons that this game had problems. And you're just now dropping last gen. So both current gen people and last gen people, I think, could interpret this in a pretty frustrating way. Not only have we played an incredibly subpar experience, buggy experience since launch, to the point that they removed it from the Sony store, but now after playing a bad experience all this time, you're going to leave us behind. You're actually going to leave us behind. And if you are one of the next-gen console holders, you're thinking, bro, why'd you guys wait this long? Now, again, we don't know how many people are actively playing this game on the old consoles, right? We don't know how many people are actively playing back there that are going to feel this way and feel like they're kind of getting left in the dust. It might be like a Rise of Iron situation. In Destiny 1, Bungie comes out and says, listen, less than 10% of our community is playing on the old consoles. We need to leave them behind for this expansion. And it irritated people, but at the same time, it was like, how many people are we talking here, right? Less than 10%. So now it could have been like a 9% thing, and they were just kind of like, making it sound better than it was. And it could have been a decent number of people. But eventually you just have to tell people, look, man, you got to buy a new console. You can't stay back there for forever. You can't. You're literally not in present day. You're on an ancient piece of equipment. It's time to come forward, okay? That's not me trying to be mean to people that are like, I can't get one or I can't afford one. There's plenty of people who can't get a Series X. There's plenty of people who can't get a PS5, right? I'm not trying to be inconsiderate to those people. So I'm not arguing that the Cyberpunk DLC should stay on old gen, but it definitely would probably make people feel a certain kind of way. Now, the engaged audience on PC, PS5, and the Series X, they're probably going to say, I would think, in about 9 to 10 months, I'm really glad we left behind old gen. They pushed out a 1.7 or a 1.8, and boy, oh boy, this game is really, really coming into its own. They were really able to do some good things. My working theory is that Cyberpunk 1.6, being the last next-gen piece of support, there's going to be a 1.7, 1.8, and 1.9 that are going to be significant, and then 2.0 lands simultaneously with Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty, and that's the hinge turn for the game. Brother-in-law works for Walmart, says they're going to get Series X in for the holidays. Reports are saying PS5 restock is going to get ramped up as well for the holidays, which we kind of... Eugene was the one that kind of threw that out as, I bet you they're going to do that for the holidays, which was another reason Hogwarts bailed on December, because it's going to be really, really tough for Hogwarts. Not tough, but like it would have diminished their push, because every time PS5s resaturate the market, all the first-party titles do very well, Ragnarok being one of those recently released titles in November. I still don't have a PS5 or a Series X, and I want devs to move on. Me not having one is not their problem. Right. Old gen can't be supported forever, says Baba Yaga. It's time to move on in all respects. Sure. And the question at the top of the chat in the poll, almost 1,000 votes, 800 votes is really good. Cyberpunk DLC, if the Phantom Liberty expansion costs money, would you buy it? You guys have been pretty split the entire time, 60-40, but the no's have started to creep up. It's a 56-44%. So it's about split 50-50. People are like yes and no, which isn't surprising. They're projecting a total of 38 million PS5s in homes by March 2023. Is that enough to move on? I think so. It's a chicken-egg issue, says Zubair. Do you sell the electric cars first or build the charging infrastructure first? Right. I know a guy that lives in California, and they're having to, use electricity in smaller amounts because of certain things going on with, heat waves and stuff. He's like, what are we going to do when we have to charge our cars if they have to do, electricity drought enforcement? He's like, I don't understand. He's like, what am I going to do? But that's an entirely separate subject that I don't want to go down. I just thought it was funny. You have to build infrastructure first. Sometimes. Keep asking us to stop using so much during peak hours. Yeah. He just thought, he's like, that's going to be another huge power draw. Isn't that going to complicate our problems out here? You put solar panels on your roof to charge your car? Oh yeah, I guess maybe that's a solution. Get off the grid for your car charging, maybe. Haven't figured out which next-gen console I should go with. If you're choosing between the Series X and the PS5, you got to figure out which type of games are you looking for. If you guys are tuning in, we've been discussing for about 2 hours now the Cyberpunk DLC. There is the Cyberpunk 2077 expansion, Phantom Liberty. It was announced yesterday, and we've been covering it and discussing whether or not people should be willing to buy it. I have actually argued that they have updated the game enough for totally free. The Cyberpunk 1.6 update that hit today had 3 new missions, 6 guns, 5 melee weapons, transmog, and a new content loop, and some other things. And I think that being for free, being like the, I don't know what, the 5th or 6th thing that they've done like this for free, I think they're in there right by the time Phantom Liberty comes out to say, listen, this is, $20. If it's 40, I think people would say, hey, wait a minute, that seems a little overpriced. You still need power to run the inverters. Solar panels alone aren't enough. Yeah, I don't think it's that simple of a solution. I still want a cyberpunk-themed 80s synthwave futuristic Witcher game. They don't have the balls to do it. Andre says PS5 for exclusive single player experience, Xbox for multiplayer. Xbox has single player experience, but it's not as robust. You think great games you'll have to pay for or okay games you can get with Game Pass? That's the Xbox PS5 question. Yeah, or do you have a PC you can get PC Game Pass on would be the other question. If the primary reason you're going to get Xbox is for Game Pass, the question would be, can you get it right now, right, with PC Game Pass? Because if you can, then PS5 makes more sense as a choice. Let's not, guys. You guys are not taking my lead. I mentioned the car thing as like and the electric thing as like a passing kind of funny, whimsical thing. I don't want to go down that road. That's not what we talk about here. That was a very, very offhanded comment. Like, please don't take chat where I am intentionally trying not to go. Just saying, if the person gets a PS5, they can play Returnal. If you get a next-gen gaming PC, Gaming Pass for PC, and then Sony games are coming to Steam, no need for a console. If you're patient, because a lot of the games that you can play on PS5, they're not going to be on PC for a while. Whether it's Forbidden West, Ragnarok's almost here, you got Ghost of Tsushima, Returnal's coming at some point, Ratchet and Clank. I don't know. Like, yeah, Returnal's very good. I don't even... You know how good Returnal is? I hate Rogues, and I love Returnal. It's one of my favorite games. It was my game of the year that it came out. It was my game of the year. We officially just hit 2 hours, and YouTube says, hey, you've been live for 2 hours. Now would be a great time to run ads. Now would be a great time to gift members or do a super chat tip if you can afford it. If you can afford your own membership, consider doing so. It frees up space for those who can't afford a membership, and it is only $5 a month. Listen, we do a ton of extra content for members. Every day there's an extra talk show for members. We have a members-only Discord server, and then Friday nights I stream with my wife for members. So consider jumping in for $5 a month. If you can't do a membership or a super chat or anything like that, at least smash the like button. Let's set our sights on 500 likes. There's enough people here that haven't hit the like button yet. We only need about 50 more. And make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you don't miss my live shows. I do multiple live shows Monday through Friday. I am safe for work. Our second show is about Spider-Man 2 today, and that will be coming in about 30 minutes. We have had a great time discussing Cyberpunk DLC today, and if you want to weigh in on the poll or talk in chat, you need to subscribe to Talk in the Chat. We'd love to hear from you. Exactly, be patient, because yes, eventually these current PS5 exclusive games would be sooner or later on PC. Some of them at least. I think they'll all eventually make their way. Spider-Man was the only one I thought would never come to PC, and here we sit. I was wrong. Sony leaving so much money on the table by not bringing to PC. No tons that can't bother buying a PS5. Oh, they're coming. They're going to come a lot sooner. I think the window of time is 18 to 24 months. I think Ragnarok lands on PC 18 to 24 months after its release. That's what I think. With gaming being as prevalent... Yo, Andres Lopez, dude, thank you so much for doing a brand new membership. That's the first new member of the day that was not a gifted member. Thank you very, very much for jumping in. Enjoy the dope badge and emotes. You're dope and deserve dope stuff. Actually, no, I think that's the second or third new member. We've gotten some good new members today that weren't gifted. I like to see that. That frees up space, so when someone does gifteds, it'll hit more people. I'm here too much not to. I appreciate that. Be sure to get into our Discord. Members-only content doesn't always ping you on YouTube, but our Discord server will. It'll tell you, hey, he just did this thing. So, and gifted members seem to be working really, really well in the first stream. They're working really, really well in the first stream. So if you're wanting to gift members, do it now. We'll test it in the second stream. We'll see if it works. I'll probably just throw one out there just to see. We have a theory that Redirect's messing with it. But Cat gifted members today, and it was like the old days. It was like, all 5 got grabbed right away. That was actually even better than yesterday. Day and date for Sony, says Sven, or do you see a world where Microsoft walks back first-party day and date on Game Pass? Day and date will never happen on Sony. No, it'll never happen. Sony is going to continue to have games launching with massive sales numbers, and then they'll do that for a year. A year later, it'll hit PS Plus. 6 months after that, it hits PC. That's the cycle. Bet. I put money on the table. That's the cycle going forward. And they won't change it for any foreseeable future or reason. I don't see them changing that. Ragnarok hits, full price. A year later, it'll get kicked to PS Plus. 6 months after that, it'll land on PC. That's my prediction. Or it'll hit 12 months, it hits PS Plus. A year after that, it hits PC. Somewhere in that spectrum is how Sony's going to do things. Until the market shifts, their PC sales exceed their consoles, that won't happen. Even if PC starts to exceed console sales, which seems incredibly unlikely, even if that happens, I don't see them doing it until they get market saturation on PS5. And even then, I don't know if they're going to want to do that creature, because they're going to want to start to sell PS5 Pros, and they might have good reason for you to do that in games like Wolverine. I just don't know. I think there's a long way before they say, because even if it starts to have good sales parity, I could see them saying, no, it's at odds with us moving consoles, and we need to move consoles. They said 2025, 50% of their games would be on PC, something like that. Yeah, but that doesn't mean day and date. I don't know. It depends on if their strategy changes for hardware distribution, you know? PC growth is amazing, but they don't want to do parallel development. So they're going to have to change their answer. Their quarterly report earnings discussions and another interview that they did, they don't want to do parallel development. So you're going to check out Steel Rising. We have a Steel Rising first look on our Reforge First Look channel. It's actually doing quite well as a video. That channel is going to slowly turn around over there. It's one of our better videos as of late. Most of our videos over there were landing under 500. That thing's probably on its way to having 2,000 views when it's all said and done. So, very excited about that. Very, very excited about that. We actually are going to continue to try to push first looks there, and then we'll start pushing reaction content out. We're going to have 4 channels that will all be humming with regular content injection. Right now, we have our live channel that's getting content every day, and then our updates channel gets little short updates every single day. A lot of the updates that hit over there, you don't get on this channel. We had a Division Heartland update that's doing very well. 4 minutes gives you everything you need to know, so make sure and support all the channels. I still wish for either a Bloodborne or a Demon Souls remake to have PC version someday. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. If you're just tuning in, we've been discussing the Cyberpunk DLC, and that's what the poll at the top of the chat is about. Since I last mentioned it, we've only gotten about 30 more votes, so I think everybody's pretty much voted on the poll. I'll be closing the poll soon, so get your votes in. Cyberpunk DLC, if the Phantom Liberty expansion costs money, would you buy? Yes or no? And it's a 56-44%. It was a 60-40 split, and the no's have moved the needle. It's almost a 50-50 split now. What do you think of the anime? I don't really watch anime, so I don't really care to comment or watch it or look at it. When will the soul genre become an afterthought? Never? I don't think ever. Sony will go day and date the moment they stop selling consoles. I don't see that happening anytime soon. That's what I'm thinking. It's too their first party titles are too endemic to moving hardware. They're too interwoven with moving hardware. So I don't see it happening anytime soon. Again, the PC sales would just have to be bonkers crazy. You got to think about how they're getting to double dip and why they wouldn't want to disrupt that cycle. They get to make a ton of money day one on their console. They get to move their consoles. Then they sell it on PC later and make profit all over again. And here's what you're saying. Listen to what you're saying. Think about it like this. If PC sales start to catch up and match console sales, they'll do it. No, they won't. No, they won't. The PC market's giving them every reason to not do that. Look at how high the demand is for our product 18 to 24 months later. If it matches, has parity, or surpasses the sales on their platform, the PC market just gave them every reason to not do day and date. We're maintaining demand a year and a half to 2 years later. Why the frick would we do day and date? We're getting the double dip, and we give our consoles an injection of purchase. Like, here's a reason to buy our console. There's not a world where that's going to motivate them to do day and date. If anything, it's a motivation to not do day and date. PC's going to go mad. Graphics cards are dropping. China has stopped crypto, but the Series 40s plus the Series 40s are around the corner. We have too many loyal PlayStation fans for PlayStation to die out. It won't happen. I bought a PS5 because I played Horizon Zero Dawn on PC. There you go. That's a really nice cycle of people. How many people played God of War 2018 on PC and are going to be dying to get a PS5 because they can't get Ragnarok on PC? Man, what a beautiful ecosystem that is. You're making money on old product on PC, motivating people to buy your console who did that. Like, it's such a good ecosystem. Jiminy Christmas. I love these guys. They're like, Sony's in trouble. Yeah, you're right. They just kicked Spider-Man to PC and broke records. Man, they are really in trouble. 2-year-old game landed on PC and went bonkers. Yeah, oof. Must be really hard to sell an old game and break records. Wow. They must be so scared. Market saturation accounts for nothing when you're draining your consumers for every spare penny and refuse to invest in more than formula with only 4% of your install base supports. I'm not sure what your point you're making, Boogeyman. What you talking about? Played Spider-Man on my PS4 Pro, got it again on PC, no regrets. Can't imagine you having regrets about that. And then people want to call Last of Us not a remake. I fell into that marketing place right on. I replayed God of War on PC, convinced myself I need a PS5 to play Ragnarok as soon as it comes out. In trouble working out how to minimize tax on all the revenue they're rolling in, right? You just had to. You had to. Oh, you know I got to get those swings in sometimes, brother. Get a little jab in. Just a little jab. A little jabby jab. Ryan explained that the company had restricted itself to a rather narrow portion of the gaming market in the past and that this expansion would be transformational to the business. Day-and-date PC games are coming. Also, cross-buy will be a thing. Buy on PC. Buy on PS5, play on PC. No. No. Microsoft's not even doing cross-buy. Are you freaking kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? Microsoft's doing cross-buy with their ecosystem, not with Steam. Cross-buy with Steam? Are you... Paul. No. No. You think Steam's going to agree to that? You never said that. So they're building a Sony storefront in Steam for nothing? The profitability of the Steam platform, how much money they can sell, the size of Steam, the growth of the PC market. PSN's going to have a PC store. Oh, so you think they're going to create an ecosystem like Microsoft? Okay, I'll give you a maybe on that. I'll give you maybe on that. That might actually happen. I'll give you cross-buy if Sony creates their own ecosystem like that. They're going to give you cross-buy with Steam. Steam would chuckle in their face. They'd chuckle in their face. As far as day and date, no. I don't think so. Bloomberg did an article about the cost of producing the PS5. It's $450. What? I'm not talking about remasters or the $70 price tag. I'm talking quietly cutting down cost, revising hardware to cost less to produce at the same time charging more for the console everywhere except for the US, where it's highly contested. I've already covered that. Protecting their profit margins globally is what every company's done. Apple did it. Other tech companies have did it. The Oculus did it. The yen and other currencies are dropping so much, they're raising prices to protect their profit margins, which they quite literally have to do legally. And if they're lowering costs of production on the item to increase profit margins, yeah, they're supposed to do that. That's their job as a business. Hey, if we do this and shrink this and get it from this manufacturer over here, our production costs on the game on the console can go down $5 to $10 per item, which, $5 to $10 per item when you get, 20 million in sales. That's pretty good. That's going to be a pretty good bump in our margins. Great. Well, why didn't they lower the cost of it and pass that sales on to the consumer? Because they're not allowed to. They're not allowed to. You think the shareholders would be like, great work on the production line. You dropped the price and you were able to increase margins. But then, strangely, you decided to give the customer a discount, which hurt profit margins. It's interesting. We're going to sue you now. You have a fiduciary duty to us, and you failed to honor that. They can't do that. They can't do that. We spent a whole day explaining basic business practice of companies this size. They simply must protect their margins. They're not being greedy, scummy Dr. Claw villains. They're not. They have to. You think shareholders are going to sit idly by? The yen dropped a dramatic amount, and you're losing money hand over fist every time you sell a console in that market now if you don't raise the price. Well, we don't really want to pass on price increases to the consumer. We want to be nice. Great, we're suing you because now we're losing money. Infinite just gifted 5 members of the community. Grab them quick. Click allow gifts. Look at this. They're going instantly. This is what they're supposed to do. Maybe YouTube fixed it. Let's frickin' pray they fixed it. Godson grabs one. Clamp Cut Ty got one. AB got one. Bell 5900 and Zephyroth got one. I recognize all those names. Get in here. Get in the Discord. Get in the members only content. Glad to have you. That's how it's supposed to be. I really hope they fixed it. We'll test it in the next stream to see if they really fix it. Because Creature and I have a theory that redirect is what's breaking it. It works in the first stream and doesn't work in the second. But even yesterday in our first stream, they weren't going that fast. They weren't. So greedy. People wanting to not be fired, sued, or jailed. Yeah. I'm sorry I wasn't here for that. I'll just agree to disagree with you at this moment. Because history has proven that they do cut the price after 2 years and not raise it. Boogeyman. Okay, I like you because you came back from yesterday. So you're going to get some spice from me. Because what you're saying is sadly just not... It's not informed of the bigger picture. Okay? It's not informed of the bigger picture. What is happening globally with respect to the economic structure of the world right now and currency... You can't look at traditional situations and say, well, traditionally consoles went down in price 2 years later. Yeah, and traditionally we weren't facing the economic situation that we're facing right now. So you can't expect that in perpetuity when the frickin' yen has dropped in price so much. Apple raised their prices in that market. Other tech companies have raised their prices in that market because they have to. There's no agree to disagree. They must. They must. It's a requirement, sir. It's a requirement. Mantis jumping in as his own membership. Thank you so much. That's like the 3rd or 4th brand new member today that wasn't gifted. I'm gonna give thumbs up to the people that do that on their own. Welcome and thank you. You're making room for people that can't afford a membership, and I appreciate that. Stephen Marston getting that green badge for a year milestone. 13 months is when the badge flips over and says, thank you for a year. Mantis gifted a membership to himself. That's right. Tell me you don't understand economics without telling me you don't understand economics. You just need to look into the bigger picture. Listen. The mistake you're making is you're watching YouTubers that did a bunch of lowbrow, bottom-of-the-barrel, clickbait garbage, and that's where you're getting your opinion on this situation with Sony. If you actually study the financials and the economics behind it, those videos look dumb. Because they are. Nearly crazy grabbing a gifted membership from Stephen Marston. I really hope they fix this, man. I love the fact that they're getting grabbed right away. So exciting. It's not illegal to lose profit. It's illegal to go against how your shareholders instruct you to act. Right. If profit margins go down because of things beyond your control, they can't sue you for that. If the currency in Japan drops so much that other tech companies are raising prices to counteract it, and you don't act, you will be sued by your shareholders. It's within your control to respond to this. It's expected that you will. And if you don't, we will sue you. Your fiduciary duty to your shareholders. Now, if something happens, if a production plant explodes, or some act of God, some freighter sinks in the ocean, and you lose a bunch of stuff, and you lose money, and share value goes down, and profit margins go down, they can't sue you for that. They can sue you for failure to act, or acting in a way that's counterproductive to profit margins. They 100% can do that, and do. They do it. Cyberpunk was sued. CD Projekt Red was sued because of Cyberpunk. And they settled out of court for like $2 million. There's protection for using business judgment, but not for waste. You're right. I don't know the economics of to the business degree, and I'm willing to admit if my understanding of the situation was wrong, then I withdraw my comment. I admit to not being knowledgeable. Oh man, I like you so freaking much. Oh my gosh. You have found the community where you belong, sir. That's the kind I read that, and respect goes way up for you. I wish somebody could gift you a membership right the frick now. We can't click on names and do that yet, and if we could, it'd be a race. It would be a race to gift you a membership. Because I would be trying to do it, and so would the rest of chat. We absolutely love people like that. Hey, first coffee order of the day 10 minutes ago. A bag of light, a bag of dart. Thank you so much, Coyote. Best of both worlds. Guys, grab yourself some Reforge Roast. It's the only coffee I've ever had with balanced acidity, and it is dadgum smooth. If you want to talk economics, most of these markets have received preferential pricing for decades based on currency exchange rates, and technically, they're still paying less than people in the U.S. are paying. Mm-hmm. You're going to do well here. Stay. Yeah. I love thoughtful people that can be like, you know what? I might have been wrong about this, because I try to do that. The situation may be what it is, and I admit to not knowing enough because it's the proper thing to do rather than peddle BS. Oh my gosh. Eugene! Look, I love this guy. It's the proper thing to do rather than peddle BS. You're gonna. This is great. I want 1,000 more people to start talking in chat like you. What is this madness? Someone who acknowledges they didn't know something? Thank you for restoring my faith in humanity. Lono is so turned on right now. I am, dude. I am 100% crushing on Boogeyman. Listen, we've been doing this a long time, and the people that dig their heels in, it's so frustrating. Oscar's gifting 5 memberships. Let's all cross our fingers for Boogeyman. Let's put out the vibes. So Boogeyman gets one. Come on. Pete the Greek, Kyrie, Dawn, Ivan, GC Plugs. I recognize all those names. You guys all just got gifted memberships. Get into our members-only Discord and enjoy the extra content that only members get to see. I was really pulling for you, Boogeyman, but Pete the Greek's been around a long time. So is Kyrie, Dawn, Ivan, and GC Plugs. They've been around a long time, so you've got to kind of earn the stripes, but you're earning them already as far as respect goes. Does Boogeyman have gift receives turned on? Hopefully he does. I really, really hope they fix that feature. It was such a freaking morale killer to see people be generous and them to just sit there. It was like such a gut punch. Has anyone ever moved states for the better, but instead got in a financial bleeding situation? Recovery isn't coming anytime soon? What you talking about? Thanks for the sub. It depends. Many of those countries, people still don't make enough for it to be an equivalent financial investment for a game. Microsoft Office iterations are like equal to hundreds of dollars for many. Oh, sure. He's just talking, Eugene's just talking the economics. Yo, YouTube lurkers, like, here's 5 more. We are on a gifted member train right now. Get on. Click allow gifts. Go into your member settings and turn it on. Something Stubby, I knew Something Stubby would get one as soon as he spoke. He's here all the time. Jasjot Singh, Dabbing Jesus, Corbin Loby, and Brian Abraham all grabbed him. They're gone that quickly. Oscar's going to hit an 18-month milestone, a year and a half. Supported us even before we were live streaming over here. Thank you, Oscar. We're doing the talk show. My gift receipts are on. Okay, good. Behemoth just hit 5 more. 5 more. Cross Raven, Ghost, Happy Raging Matt, Brian Coe, Joseph D. Virgillo. Guys, you guys all should get into our members-only Discord, and make sure to say thank you to Behemoth for being so generous. I'm so glad that you guys that were generous the other day are able to do it now. A lot of you guys got refunds because it wasn't working. It wasn't working. Quite a lot of gifts. That's how this community is, man. This community is awesome and super generous, and gifteds weren't working. It is literally warming my heart to see them work right. Cross Raven's been here quite a bit today and got one. Love to see it. Love to see it. 5 more from Oscar. They're literally, my community, this community, they're not mine. Our community is literally like, we're doing this until Boogie gets one. Kenpachi got one. I knew as soon as Kenpachi was talking in chat he was going to get one. He's here all the time. Chainsaw, The Turk, Call Me TK, and Carlo. It's really unfortunate. It's a good thing. There are so many loyal people here right now, Boogie. It's going to be hard for you. It really, really is. There's so many loyal folks in chat. So many loyal. Thank you, Oscar, for 5 more. Keep it going, guys, says Narwaffle. People are like, we're going to go until Boogie gets one. Can't stop, won't stop. 10 more from Behemoth. 10 more from Behemoth says, let's get this man a membership. Endeavor, here all the time, got one. Save Soul, Chris Fascio, here all the time. Lucas Hobbs, here all the time. JT Phoenix, Co Korea, Kyle, and Yido Rob, and Nara Kappa, and Inthero, all gotten. Behemoths are gone. Dodevas is jumping in. Dodevas. Brendan, here all the time. Avocake, Dave Iki, Dave KC, or Davey KC. Davey KC, here all the time. Tony Grasso, John Aaron. They're gone. They're gone. Man, I'm seeing tons of loyal names. So many members. So many members, man. You love to see this feature work properly. Thank you so much, Dodevas and Behemoth and Oscar, for being so generous, and YouTube Lurker. You guys are the absolute best. It isn't necessary to try so hard for me to get a membership. I'm the boogeyman. I'll be around. That's my man right there. I like this guy. He says, I'm not a fan of their practices on a consumer and software level. I'm not here to start beef about it, though, and I misunderstood the situation. What's your beef with Sony's issue with software? You have an issue with how Sony does stuff with software? I'd be interested to hear your position on that. I would. I'd be interested. I tell you what, guys. I tell you what. I bet you Boogie comes to the next stream. I bet you he does. I bet you he does. All right? I bet you he does. Let's reward the loyalists, all right? 5 more. Zyber says, no, I'm doing it now. I'm doing it now. Zyber's like, no, shut up, Lono. This is our show. We're taking over. We're taking over. Trash Boat, Sharky99, Nation, Lisa, all grabbing memberships. The final one goes to Unknown Games. Unknown Games is here all the time, too. Man, oh, man. So many loyalists. Is his account branded? He's allowed to allow gifts. He clicked it. It let him click it. It let him click it. So he should be able to grab one, yes. It doesn't let you click it if you're branded. It doesn't work. Guys, if you just got gifted a membership, get in the members-only Discord, discord.gg/reforgetv. You will always get pinged for members-only content in there. There's a bunch of extra rooms for you. The community's great. Find people to play video games with. I mainly do the lurking game. Well, welcome, Korea. If Boogie comes to the next stream, I want to see an I told you so on the thumbnail the following stream. Yeah. I do. I like it. This is how I'll go from now on. I think that's a beautiful. My only feedback, creature, your focus image is too dark. That's my only. That needs to be a little bit brighter. It seems like you've almost dimmed it, right? Other than that, I think it's a beautiful thumbnail. I think in search results, that image will almost look muddy and indistinct. You won't be able to tell what it is. It's just not bright enough. Everything else is perfect. I wouldn't fade your focus image because in search results, that will look. It won't look distinct. My eyes will go past it because I won't know what it is. I don't think it'll create curiosity. I think it'll create a skimming effect. They'll skim past it. That's my opinion, is that it'll look too muddy in results. Fable imagery is tough. I agree. If other imagery will be brighter, then ignore what I'm saying. If it's just the image's fault, then just ignore me. I thought you literally, like, darkened it with, like, a filter. FYI, I was Cooperfire. I remember you! Yes! Cooperfire, you were around... Did you run raids with me? You ran raids with me in D1, didn't you? Cooperfire. I swear to frick, you won raffles in D1. I swear you did. I 100% remember you. I feel like you had a long-standing sub over there. You had a badge and everything. Your badge was purple? Maybe? Maybe it was purple. Was your avatar purple over there? That was me, sub for 3 years. I freaking knew it. I knew it. Now that's a name I haven't heard in a long time. Yeah, that's a name I remember. I always warm. That makes my heart feel full when people like that are still around. That's a cool feeling. That's a really, really cool feeling. Seriously, because we've been over here for 2 years, which means you've been in my corner to a certain degree for 5 years. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. I don't look at that. I don't take that for granted. I look at that as a serious thing. And I appreciate it, man. We got a long road ahead of us. And yes, I caught the Obi-Wan reference, Eugene. It's my favorite moment in Star Wars. I've talked about that before. It's like my favorite moment. Saying it says his name twice. Obi-Wan Kenobi. Oh, I love that moment. Gives me goosebumps. So mysterious. And then they ruined that. Excuse me. It's just getting a demon out. Lots of us never left. I know. And I don't take it for granted. Best community. Your streams made my day. All right. Listen. If you guys keep gifting, you can hold me hostage for 25 minutes. And then we got to go to the next stream. So if you keep gifting, I will let you hold me hostage. So the train's got to continue. I'm going to take a 30-second, I'm going to quick run upstairs. I'll be right back. So it's up to you guys. We're going to go to the next stream, and if you want to reward those loyalists over there, feel free. It seems that gifted memberships are fixed, right? All right, it seems it's fixed. I'll let you hold me hostage for 25 minutes max. I don't want this stream going longer than 3 hours, but we got some wiggle room because I started late today. So if you guys want to go nuts and bless these super loyal people who are still here 2.5 hours into the stream, I'm going to let you do that. The stream is in your hands. It's in your control, right? It's in your hands. I will be right back. Gifteds are not random. Gifteds go to people in order of loyalty. So the more they watch, the more they consume the content, the more often they're here, the greater they basically are the first in line. So that's a reason for you to be here every day. Even if you're like, I'm not interested in the topic, so what? Throw the stream on in the background, just listen to the conversation. It's like a podcast, it's like a radio show, and that's putting money in the bank for you to get a gifted, basically. All right, I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Chat, I'm sorry. Chad, I'm sorry. That was supposed to be a quick one. It wasn't a quick one. We've been helping this family, and their kids are so adorable, and they were upstairs, and so I wanted to just say hi to them and kind of, be excited and just give them some attention. They're great kids. Yo, friends, I'm super late. What's the thumbnail summary? Thumbnail summary is. There is a Cyberpunk DLC that has been announced. The update that landed today is the last update old gen will get. I have theorized there will be a bunch of updates in between now and when the expansion lands next year, and that it's going to lead to a Cyberpunk 2.0 patch, because the one that landed today was 1.6, and then it'll be a very, very huge moment for the game. That's what I've been saying. Our second show is about Spider-Man 2, and we are going to switch gears to that. I was going to let people hold the stream hostage if they wanted to with gifteds. You still have time while I get all this set up, but gifteds seem to have been fixed, and so we're getting ready to shift gears to the next stream. But I was going to let people, if people kept going, I was going to let the train go. According to a tweet, there'll be Spider-Man gameplay very, very soon. I want to look at what this insider is saying. I think it's a cause for both excitement and concern, and I'll outline why. What did I do for the thumbnail, for the Spider-Man thumbnail? I don't even remember what I put on it. Oh, gameplay soon, coming soon, question mark. I did feel like for my $500, they did enough to impress me with their hardware. The service practices fall apart. Charging for demos, and their first-party software is cloned to death. It's cloned to death. Man, I can't look at Ratchet and Clank, Returnal, Ghost of Tsushima, Horizon Forbidden West and feel like anything is cloned to death. And I don't think they're charging for demos. They're charging for trials, which is actually a very great form of consumer protection and value that I think will become more standard in the industry. And that's infrastructure they built. And they basically tell anybody, hey, if you want to sell in our marketplace, you have to offer a trial within 90 days of the game coming out. And I think that's a huge value to the consumer, personally. That's my take on it. I know some people view the trials thing differently, but in my mind, nobody's giving you free trials of every game above $40, and they are. And it's a great way to protect the consumer. So their premium, highest paying consumers always have that ability to be like, is this game any good? Let me try it before I buy it. I think that's a great value. Trial was the reason why I bought Soul Hackers. Right. I think it creates a much healthier ecosystem because then you're trying a game and buying it if you like it. So, like, that's better than trying the game on Game Pass, and if you like it, they never see a dime from you unless they're properly monetized. Okay. All right, I'm going to put a link in chat. All of the gifted members have been claimed, so I'm also going to test. I want to test in the next stream if gifted members is still working, so because it wasn't working, and we want to see if it is. Is the trailer not looping? Oh, there it goes. It was literally at the part. It was literally at the dark part of the trailer. I was like, I need that trailer to be looping for our next stream. If redirect commonly does not work for you, then please click the link in chat instead of waiting for the redirect. It'll bring more people over to the new stream. Spider-Man 2 gameplay is coming soon, according to an insider, and some of their comments about the Spider-Man 2 gameplay that has been seen, I'm both excited and a little concerned. It's a mixed bag for me. I'm going to explain why. I put all of the good info right at the beginning of this video. The video is long because it's a live stream. If you want to be here for those discussions and breakdowns beyond this beginning part, make sure you are subscribed to the channel so that way you can be here for those discussions. Turn on the bell notification so you get notified when I'm live. I'm going to end the previous stream and bring everybody over. We were talking about the Cyberpunk DLC, debating whether or not it should cost money. It's an expansion coming next year. Go watch that VOD if you missed it. I'm going to bring all those people over with a redirect, and we are going to continue the discussion and the live show today talking about Spider-Man